Hello, everybody. Mike, our voice is live now. Say hello to the kids.
Hi, kids. Hi, children. Hope you all been behaving because Daddy's back home.
I don't like this. I immediately don't like this one bit.
Daddy's home.
Daddy's home.
All right,
Daddy eats first.
Where do I put the hockey game so it doesn't distract me? I mean, it's got to be somewhere. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah, we know. We know.
I should get it. I should be a Pittsburgh Penguins freak this year.
Just, go to a game. You don't have to try to track it down.
I do like going to the
go
games.
to a game. Yeah,
games are fun.
Yeah, they're great.
I know tomatoes are fruit, everybody. But come on.
But you're not
I know that
you're
they're
not taking
fruit.
a bite out of tomatoes.
I told them not to do that shit.
It's like I never heard that before, Sean. It's fine.
Yeah, someone was in chat today was like, does Mike know tomatoes are a fruit? I'm like, of course he does that. What the fuck?
It's not about bringing up the topic. It's about don't bring up the topic. I don't want to. I don't want to get into it.
Wow, you have a lot of Jan energy of being exasperated with us right now.
I definitely
I understand why Jan is the way he is, okay?
I definitely don't eat raw tomatoes. I definitely cook them like crazy and then puree them before I eat them. I don't even really like ketchup.
I know, I'm with you on that one. Ketchup's gross.
Yeah.
I swear to God, if you think I'm in Detroit, you're not going to show me this game on this fucking computer.
They made a Reddit thread about how I should go to Detroit. Because apparently they have a RoboCop statue there, which seems kind of weird to me. Yeah. Not like RoboCop's like a symbol of things that are good about Detroit. But,
it's exactly like Rocky. What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a little different, but sure, I'll go to the RoboCop statue. Like, I'm glad it's there.
Listen, Detroit doesn't have a lot, Mike. All right, give us something.
Okay. Yeah, I guess you can have it. You can have it.
Okay, Christian, you're here. Let's test the audio.
I am here.
Is this the? Yes. Yeah, it is. Wait. Yes. No.
Do you know that the Dragon Slayer, the Legend of the Heroes, is a Trails game too? Crazy.
That sounds right. Legends of Heroes.
I thought
steep.
You guys hear that?
Yes, sir.
Yes. 10 out of 10 audio.
The chat hear it.
Yes, but it's not loud enough for them. Now it is.
Beautiful.
Yeah, I
nice,
was doing some
Cody.
digging. I was like, Legend of Heroes. Where is them? The Legend of Heroes.
I used to think I was going to play Trolls of Cold Steel, but now I think I've accepted reality. I'm never going to play those games.
Mike, I think you've been talking about doing that since before I was.
Yeah, it's not happening. There's no way I'm going to find time to play. I mean, it's 4 parts. It looks ugly because they don't do the pixel art anymore. It's not even supposed to be as good, anyways.
It's good, actually.
Well, I think they got better, but I don't know. It's like
it's too moisturized.
No, it's not. Well, a little bit. That's not. I don't know.
Yeah, this.
It's a big commitment, dude. It's
a big commitment.
Yeah.
Dragon Slayer calling the Legend of Heroes from 1989.
The series has gone on forever.
Okie doke. I think we are ready to start.
Maybe I should play those because there are 2 of those.
All right, yeah, we're gonna get started.
All right, I'm gonna count us in and hit the recording button. Everybody good? I think. Well, actually, you know what? Bring up. There we go. Now we're good. All right, starting in 5, 4, 3. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the Game Mess Decides podcast. This is the podcast where we decide everything about the world of video games so you never have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeff Grubb. With me is
Mike Minotti.
In today's episode, the PS5 is getting smaller, Disney wants to get bigger, and Elephant Peach is just right. But first, Mike, how are you doing?
I'm good. Been busy. Been learning to get along with life with the CPAP machine.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, but how about you? You were gone. You were on a little trippy trip. You were in the woods. You see any bears? How was it?
No bears. We had a pretty good time. It was it was fun. We did a lot of hiking. we were in this like treehouse thing, and it had to slide down to this kind of the second level, and then you hop out of there, and there's a little hot tub, and the kids had a lot of fun in that. We played in that one night, and then I made fires a couple of the nights, and that was a lot of fun. Got to like bring out some old Boy Scout stuff and be like, oh, here's a teepee. I'm gonna set on fire now, and all that stuff. It's a good time.
Did the kids ever complain about like not having some of like their usual amenities or anything like that?
They no. They had their tablets and stuff, but
sure.
There was a TV, and we like what we did is like we put on like we had a movie night as well, so we watched Elemental, and they're very into that now.
I haven't seen that yet. Somehow
I had a really good time with that movie. I think it's very good. Low expectations these days with Pixar, right? So that
you're not expecting a Coco or a Toy Story,
exactly. And I think it's it's almost as good as any of those, I think, in a lot of ways. I mean, whatever. I'm not like sitting down and analyzing it. I had a really good time watching that movie. So no, the kids were like, no complaints about that sort of thing. Obviously, they have little legs, and we try to do all the really easy hikes.
Sure.
I end up carrying kids like the back half of like every hike we did. So I'm like a kid on my back, kid in my front, like going down these not like treacherous passes, but like a couple areas where it's like it's pretty craggly, pretty rocky, and it's like one point it was like there's a ton of steps going down, and I'm carrying them, and then people are commenting like, oh wow, both kids, huh? I'm like, yeah, that's how it goes sometimes. But we want them out there, and the kids had a pretty good time. And the first day, Addie's like leading the way, and she's like 4, but she's like, oh no, I'm climbing all over everything, and I'm going, and of course we're like, oh wow, look at you go. And so the next day, Emily's like, well, I'm the older sister, I could do that too. And then so she's like, I'm the leader now. And she did great, but then both of those things wear off pretty quick, and then they're like, "Okay, Dad, carry me." I'm like, "Okay,
yeah.
You need to walk a little bit further." And then when I see them actually begin to like stumble, I'm like, "Okay, all right, come here." But I mean, I had a good time. It was really nice to kind of get out there. I was feeling a little bit like brain foggy going into the vacation, and then halfway through, I'm like, it's not clearing up. I thought like getting away from work or getting away from stress would help. It's not going away, and then I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna actually try to actively relax. And then at that point, I was like, oh, you know what? That worked. That kind of kicked into place. And I came out of it feeling legitimately refreshed. And that was nice. That was cool. And it wasn't like that long of a vacation either. I was only gone for 5 days in total. So yeah, it was nice.
Did you bring any games? I know you were talking about maybe playing something. Did you get to play anything? So yeah, I brought the Roger Ally. I had a couple of other things, but that's what I really played. I was trying to play Baldur's Gate 3, and I was making some progress. And then, it's a combination of the Ally and Windows being kind of shitty, and then the game being a little bit broken in some ways. That like it's buggy enough that it would probably be kind of hard on one of those.
Right, it's buggy enough that you don't know what is causing the problem. Right, that's my issue. It's like I'm like I don't know what the fault point is here. But I was making great progress, kind of getting into it. Started a new character and everything, so I'm back at the beginning again, going through all the Grove stuff early on, and I try to wipe some dust off the screen, Mike, and you can't touch the screen in that game because it's like, oh, okay, we're going to switch the controls. It broke way, way harder than that. Mike, I've never seen a game break this hard in my entire life. I touch the screen goes white, the Ally completely stops responding. I'm like, okay, I'll have to hard reset it. I hard reset it. There's a software package that is like that Asus layers on top of Windows control stuff. It completely stopped responding. The FPS setting where it's like, hey, do you want to limit the FPS? Only would go to 0. That's not an option at all. That doesn't make any sense. No. The resolution setting completely stopped responding. I like tried to play Starfield instead. I'm like, let's see if there's anything wrong here. It's like, hey, no, you have the wrong drivers. I'm like, what are you talking about? I like manually updated the drivers so I could play Starfield. The game broke so hard, it broke my drivers. It broke everything on the Ally. I had to hard reset, like to scratch the Ally to get it to work again. And so I basically spent like a whole night, like, not like hovering over it, but like checking in on it a bunch of times to see if it was resetting. So that was like really frustrating because I'm like, I was going to make real progress in this game. By the end of that night, going into the next day, I was again, and things were fine. But it was like, oh man, that's like a whole day of like stuff where I could have been enjoying this game. Lost.
Said you're fixing things.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like that was my big experience with gaming on the trip. Mostly was having that big headache happen. But when I was playing the game and it is working on there, it's a ton of fun. That's a good game. I'm like, I'm still like poking and prodding at what's possible. I see people talk about this. this freedom and openness. And I'm like, I'm mostly kind of like going to the waypoint and doing what the game's telling me. I need to start experimenting a little bit more, but I'm still early enough that's like, I don't want to like risk like doing something stupid or just doing something for the sake of being weird. Like,
sure,
hey, they're trying to seal off the grove. Well, am I going to be the guy that's going to like figure out how to stop them from doing that? Like, this is their grove. I'm not going to like interrupt this. This seems stupid. So yeah, I'm like still trying to like see where I can break things in a way that seems interesting and makes sense for me.
I mean, to me, it is still very much like a game where, I go and do the missions. It's just there's a lot of ways to do the missions,
right?
I suppose. And that's what I like. And you saw how frustrated I got that one time in Starfield when I had to like steal something on a ship and I couldn't like do more than just steal the thing from the ship.
Yes.
Like I thought there had to be other ways I could do this mission, and not really. So that's why Baldur's Gate's working for me. I'm actually into Act 3 now. So I've made very good progress in the last week or so. Just been really playing.
I will say the entire night I was trying to fix my my system. I was like, oh, there, Tokoto, Baldur's Gate 3, Lone Adventurer, like playing all night long. You were playing like nonstop.
I was playing. The one night I really was up till like 3 a.m. because I was doing some late Act 2 stuff, and it was really good. And you get into these later levels, you are getting powerful. Like I have a lot of really strong and interesting spells now, so I've been really enjoying Baldur's Gate 3.
That's one of the things that is stringing me along, Mike, is you talking about the leveling up. Like, they give you level 2 right away, which is how D&D always works. You do one thing, bam, you're going to be at level 2, and it's like, okay, well, man, let's get to level 3. Let's see what happens when that happens. I think I'm about to get most of my characters to level 3, so it's like that is. I'm like, oh, I can't wait to see what that feels like because you built it up. I'm like, that sounds exciting to me.
Yeah, like I just got level 9, I think, and it was like unlocking level 5 spells for a lot of characters. So there's a whole new suite of spells and other cool stuff. So yeah, it's been every time I level up, it's neat. What did you roll this time for your new playthrough?
I am a ranger. Yes, I was like, that seems like it's got a nice mix of things in there, and I could probably, do some pretty hefty damage, but also stay back. And I think that's good for a game like this, where I'm like, so many things you could miss accounting for so many things. Where it's like, oh, if you there's so many variables in the world or in the combat that it's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna rush in, and suddenly like you forgot, like, oh, there's some grease over there, and someone's gonna set on fire, and everything's gonna go bad. At least that's my experience with Divinity Original Sin 2, where it's like I was bad at like looking around and figuring out all the things that could go wrong. So here, having to be like a little standoffish character, I feel pretty good about that. So yeah, and then also I think Ranger's playing well with all the characters I have so far. So I have Will and Shadowheart running around with me.
I don't know if this is like necessarily true for everyone, but for me, like early on, it felt like my range and spellcasters were pretty weak compared to my just pure melee character. But now, like, my magic and the race people are pretty strong as they kind of develop more and more. My melee person's still also pretty strong, but the spellcasters definitely catch up.
Yeah, the way that I remember from listening to the McElroy's D&D podcast was like the melee character, the fighter, eventually just has so many things that they can chain together, where it's like their turns can like kind of keep going because they just get like second wind and can do this, and their bonus actions are really powerful. And then it's like the way that works for the way the power curve works for magic users is those magic powers just get way more powerful, and you're doing one spell, but it can do a lot more. So yeah, I'm excited to keep playing that game. It is the handheld game right now for me, although, I'm back home and I got a lot more options, and I'll probably be playing that a little bit on the PC too, just to have something more reliable. But there's a lot more stuff, but I'm going to stick with Baldur's Gate because I am having a good time with it.
Good. Well, look, that we accidentally kind of snuck to the end here and talked a lot about what we were playing.
That's fine too.
It's a big one, though.
Yeah, we got a lot going on, so maybe we can wrap up what we've been playing at the end a little bit quicker. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. You can get more from Mike and me by joining the Discord at GameMess.net. Give us a good rating wherever you are listening, and hit that like button on YouTube, please. It helps people find the show. If you want to ask a question, you could do so using the Super Chat feature here on YouTube. We'll get to all of those before the end of the program. Thank you to Carlos Ayin, who is Insane in the Rain Music on YouTube, for the use of our theme songs. He's back. on Santa
Yeah, I saw that. That's good. Yeah.
Sam Lorraine Music announced he's unretired from making YouTube cover videos, and I think that is fantastic. He is one of the best that has ever done that. Thanks to One Up vs. CPU for our artwork.
Should we commission them? Can we do that? Can we like? I don't know. I mean, we've had the same song for so long. Maybe like we can't change things.
Well, we can look into it. Maybe. I bet it's pretty expensive because the guy probably makes a lot of money from just doing a YouTube video. So we'll see. We are on. Oh wait, oneupversuscpu.com if you want more from them. We are on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and wherever pods are caught. Thank you to the mods, and support us by going to patreon.com/GameMess. That's patreon.com/GameMess. That gets you access to the private channels in our Discord, the monthly Q&A, participation in our monthly Game Club discussions, 1 month early access to new episodes of Game Mess Jeopardy and Columbros, and of course, all of our shows ad-free. You should definitely check out all that stuff.
Yes. Columbros episode 2, free for everybody this Saturday.
That sounds
the
right.
14th. Yeah, the 14th. So
yeah,
Saturday.
the 14th.
So yeah, Saturday.
So
look out for that.
Check the YouTube.
We will record a new episode here very soon, probably next week for that, because I've been traveling, haven't had a chance to watch anything yet. All right, Mike, I got a bunch of big topics I want to talk about. You ready to go?
Let's do it.
John Riccitiello is leaving Unity. Things are all going to be better at Unity, right?
Probably not. That sure feels like a sinking ship. I don't know how you turn it around, except for the fact that some people are just kind of baked into Unity, but a lot of them sure do have a lot of incentive to leave it behind. Now, Riccitiello, it's fine. He got his golden parachute. He got his money. I don't know what's going to happen to that engine. Yeah,
it's always kind of important in these moments to remember who these people work for. And John Riccitiello never worked for the customers or really even most of the investors. He worked for the board of directors, and the board of directors seemingly wanted him to do everything that he did, and he got paid for doing exactly that. And now he's moving on. And and Unity, like you said, baked in. It's baked in for a lot of mobile developers. Obviously, it's used on some of the biggest games in the world, Genshin Impact, things like that. So it will continue to be used in many cases. Its future among indie developers, that's a big question mark. How much they care about that doesn't seem like they care about that a whole lot. It does seem like Unity is on the path it's on because this is where they want to be headed. Whether or not that was ever the right path for them seems immaterial to anything. They don't that doesn't matter. That's not what they're interested in. They were interested in making kind of a quick buck from merging with Iron Source. I guess John Riccitiello and a bunch of other people at Unity were maybe in line to get big bonuses if they made that merger happen. And that did happen, and they got paid. And Iron Source, people are unaware, it's kind of an ad tech company that puts a lot of ad software into games. Usually that stuff gets marked as malware because that's almost exactly what it is. But hey, that's Unity now, and John Riccitiello, he did that thing, and now he's moving on, and Unity sort of has to not reckon with it, because again, the people who are in charge now, the person who's taking over James Whitehurst, I think. Yeah, James Whitehurst. He's from Silver Lake Capital, one of the big venture capital firms that owns 9% of Unity. This is what they want as well. So nothing's going to change. It's probably just going to keep getting worse.
I wonder what Riccitiello does. Like, is he actually going to go somewhere else? Is he going to just finally retire or just join some boards here and there? Think he's going to be in charge of a major game company again?
I don't know. I'm trying to think, like, is there a company out there with a board of directors that's like, let's squeeze this thing for the whatever value we can get out of it? Because I think Riccitiello seems like he's proven he's pretty good at that. Not good at like turning these companies into long-term positive investments. There's nothing there for him for that. But in terms of making money for the people at the top, he has done that repeatedly now, and done so usually to the detriment of the company as a whole. Yeah, that company probably is out there and probably would take him on, but there's no obvious answer to that. I wouldn't be surprised if we kind of just hear him being like, I'm an angel investor now, and he starts his own venture capitalist firm or something like that. That seems possible. Unity's going to be what it is. There's not much. We've talked about this a lot already. Nothing's going to really change there. So we'll see what happens. I hope that the real answer here is that I hope a open source alternative really pops up. Godot that would be ideal if that turns into like the go-to source for making games going forward. But we'll see if that's ever going to happen. The PS5 Slim got announced. We talked about that last week, so of course they announced it right afterward. Basically, it's new, it's smaller, it's 30% smaller, and 18 to 24% lighter. I guess depending on which model you're comparing it to. It will be available in standard and digital editions for $500 and $450. So the digital edition is getting a $50 price increase. They justified that by adding a little extra storage. It's got 1 terabyte of storage. Which is like, wait, didn't it already have a terabyte? No, it had 825 gigabytes of storage. So they're adding a little bit there. The vertical stand sold separately for another $30. Instead, it comes with a really cute horizontal like crutch or something.
Cradle.
Yeah, I am a big fan of that. That thing looks dumb as hell, and I really like that. Overall, Mike, I am mostly with you. I'm glad they stuck with the PS5 design. I say, because I think it's ugly in an interesting way. I know you just straight up like it, and I think that's...
I do.
Yeah, I think that's great. I'm glad you do.
Yeah, I like the way things look. So obviously, the $50 price, like on digital, and charging for that vertical stand, that is pretty heinous. That's
it's them getting away with what they can get away with, right? They know they can get away with it, so they're getting away with it.
Everything else, even, like, some people are, like, mad that, the PlayStation 5 isn't that much slimmer. I mean, it's not actually called the PlayStation 5 Slim. It's just... the new version of PlayStation 5.
It's replacing the original PS5, yes. And,
and it is slimmer. I get it, but it's not supposed to be like
smaller.
Right. It's not supposed to be like, the PlayStation 3 Slim or, the little PlayStation 1 we had back in the day. It's not really what it's doing.
Yeah, what is this doing? What is it really doing then, Mike? It is saving them money on manufacturing, and it's making them more money through price increases and through including fewer materials. So
you said why they were going to do this 2 years ago. I feel like it's exactly what happened. And then was Insider Gaming had the details on this? They thought it was going to get announced last month, so there was a little delay there. But this is basically everything that they said this was going to be.
Yep, and it's I think that it sets them up for the holidays, I guess. I mean, I don't know. This is just going to be the PS5 now, so it's like, what does it matter? This is just going to be the thing that's going to be on the shelf. There's no choice to be. I guess the choice is maybe the digital is more prominent. The digital edition was always there, but it wasn't really because Sony didn't make enough to actually make it a real choice. You were going to get the regular one because that's the one you could find on store shelves. That's the one that was in stock. These days, I guess the digital edition is probably a little bit easier to get, but even still, it's not out there as much as the standard $500 model. This time, I expect them to maybe flip that a little bit because the whole idea here is there is a detachable disk drive where you can get the $450 model digital edition. You take off one of the plates. You stick on a $70 disk drive. So again, that would be more expensive if you did it separately for whatever reason. And then you put the faceplate back on, and now you have a actual full-fledged, full-fat PS5. And now you can get that straight up. That's the $500 disc version. That's what it is. It is exactly that. It is the PS5 digital with that disc drive stuck on. But if they're going to have that option, if that's the way it's going to work, I would imagine they would make the digital edition more prominent. But I don't know. I mean, do you think they're going to do that? Do you think that this is them trying to push people towards digital? That's the hunch that everyone has. I kind of tend to agree with it.
Yeah, maybe it's hard because we sure seem to be going that way. Everybody today's been reporting or saying that Best Buy is probably going to be done selling physical games at some point here. Other stores may be following suit. This is going to be the future for sure. So, everybody's going to have these digital versions. We already do. But because especially with just $50 more, it still feels like, well, why not just get the one with the disc drive right now? So that's still a little weird to me. Yep.
It's, it's strange until you realize it's going to be on store shelves. People want PS5. They're going to buy the one that's in front of them. And if really, this is like the nudge method instead of the push method. With the Xbox One in the early days, that was them trying to push people towards digital and push people towards, hey, no use games and all this stuff. And that wasn't going to work because gamers don't like to be pushed. But if you say, hey, The one you could find is the digital version, and if you want to get the disc drive later, that's an option. But what the hope would be maybe is that people just like say, well, I'll get the disc later, and then they never actually buy that, and they just start buying their games digitally.
A safety net to make them feel better about buying the digital version. Like, well, if you ever actually think you really do need it, you could get it. But yeah, it's hard to imagine a lot of people actually
they won't
going through with
right.
that.
Yes, like if you don't get that disc right away, I mean, okay, I said they won't. Some people obviously will, but people tend to work
careful.
through. Yes,
they get very upset.
The path of least resistance, though, is the most appealing path across the board for most human beings. And if this is what they're presented with, normal people, they will probably be like, oh, okay, I'll get it later, and then forget to do so. Whether Sony needs to be worried about that, I guess, they do seem like a company. It's like, hey, every nickel and dime does matter, and we are going to try to get every dollar possible. This seems a little aggressive in that direction, but not so unbelievably aggressive that I can't believe they're doing it. This is seems like kind of normal video game company behavior in a lot of ways. And yeah, and again, if you really care about it, they are giving you the option, so it's hard to even really complain, right?
Right. I guess I wonder if maybe they could have done a little bit something to this just to maybe get more of like the super fans to buy this, even though they already have a PlayStation 5, right? Kind of like what Nintendo did with the OLED model. Although there you have just give it a nicer screen. There is no screen. So what, as it is, you'd have to be a pretty big PlayStation freak to be like, well, I obviously have to get the new PlayStation 5, even though I already have one. Yeah,
I mean, I think some people will talk themselves into it because being like, this thing's so big. It takes up so much of my house.
Sure.
Some people will do that, but most people won't. Everyone. I mean, I thought about it for a half a second, Mike, and then I was like, no, that's absurd. I don't even notice my PS5. It's in the entertainment center. I never even look at the thing. What is it? What am I talking about? And it's got the expansion for the SSD, and I got a 4 terabyte SSD in there. I don't need the extra 175 gigabytes. So like one Call of Duty game, maybe. Like that's no, I don't need that. So
one Call of Duty game. That's a fine way of putting it.
Yeah, I mean it's honestly might even not even be that. I think that this is this was kind of what we predicted would happen. We'll see how what if it really actually shakes anything up, if it actually changes the thing. For the most part, it just feels like no, this is going to be business as usual.
Sure.
Obviously, this lends credence though to them working on the PS5 Pro. Do you still think they're launching that thing next year?
I have no idea, Jeff. I have no idea. I used to be hardline no. Then there's all the stuff like yes. I don't know. I could flip a coin right now.
I'm with you. It's hard. I mean, obviously, I think going on this and them actually launching this thing and launching it in the year where Insider Gaming said they would. It's well, I mean, seems like they were pretty certain about that Pro happening next year. So I guess it's probably going to happen. I imagine that Sony's not fully committed, but they seem to be barreling towards that. I don't know. It just still doesn't make a ton of sense to me, but that doesn't mean it's not going to happen. I'm sure they will find ways to make it feel like it makes more sense. There's ways to position it across the board where it's like, hey, we can just move the pricing around and position it with a certain game to make it really feel like it works. I don't know.
I just can't really imagine what it looks like if PlayStation 5 is a Pro model and there is like no Xbox equivalent. That's what
the Xbox equivalent's going to be. They'll have to be like
PC.
A PC, and it's like that doesn't feel great. I don't know. Something about that doesn't work.
True, and I get it. And like that's why I play a lot of PC games these days. But yeah, that's interesting.
All right. Disney deputies want Bob Iger to buy into gaming a little bit harder, Mike. Iger's deputies are pushing him to consider a bolder transformation of Disney from gaming licensee to gaming giant through, say, a possible acquisition of Electronic Arts. But as with everything else, and apparently you could tell me if this is true, as with everything else with Bob Iger, he's been non-committal. What's your read on this, Mike? You're the Disney guy.
Yeah, AJ and I talked about this a little bit on Last End Dogs. I think Iger is pretty sheepish about any more big acquisitions. I don't think the Fox acquisition was worth it. I think he probably regrets that one a bit. I think he knows that the FTC is buckling down on these things, as we've seen with Xbox and Activision. I think he knows they would go after him pretty hard. And what he would really want, and it probably can't happen, he wants to sell Disney. I think he wants to sell Disney to like an Apple. I hope it doesn't happen. I don't think it'll happen. it was during Bob Iger's years that we did have kind of the even more waffling in the game space than usual. I don't think it's a sector that he ever personally believed in or had a lot of interest in. Now, I can see why the board would and why people would urge him to, because one of Disney's problems right now is, maybe they need to diversify into another media field like that, especially when some of the legacy stuff isn't doing what it used to, and growth with streaming isn't moving as fast as they would like to. But here's a giant field that you can just get into right now by buying a company. So, instant market share, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's sheepish.
All throughout the pandemic, you were pointing out like all of the sort of vulnerabilities that Disney had, and they didn't have gaming, and they had kind of just gotten out of gaming at that point, right? I mean, it was a few years old, but they basically had just gotten out of gaming in a big way with Disney Infinity, and all that other stuff, where they're like, hey, that didn't work. Let's pull out and let's just go back to being a licensee. And that couldn't have been timed worse for a pandemic, where it's like, man, it'd be nice if we were releasing a bunch of video games right now, because video games are selling and they are sort of much more able to withstand what is happening during the pandemic. I think that having that be like, okay, that's a potential problem, that's a potential vulnerability, to then jump to, then let's buy EA, that is not exactly a one-to-one, everything makes sense here, right?
Yeah, I mean, so EA would only make sense because, one, it's one of the few companies of size that could maybe be up for sale. And two, there is a relationship there because of the Star Wars stuff that they have done, especially over at Respawn. But like, other than that, like, what is Disney going to do with freaking Medal of Honor, the Madden? Well,
I mean,
I guess they have ESPN,
right? That's the natural thing.
Yeah, but they want to get rid of ESPN, Jeff.
And also, you what do? You put ESPN labeling on all that stuff. What does that really accomplish?
Hey, yeah, we've had that back on the Xbox.
Yeah.
No, Disney wants to get rid of ESPN. They want to get rid of ABC. One of the problems, but Iger's whole thing right now is to try to actually get Succession done correctly this time. That's what he's there for. And part of the problem with Succession is that Disney is such a big and complicated company that nobody understands it but Bob Iger, a guy who had been there for 30 years and kind of was there as it kept slowly getting bigger and bigger. It's hard to find anybody. You gotta bring up the guy who's in charge of the theme parks, which is what they did with Chapek. Right. You can bring up the guy who's in charge of movies, who's in charge of ESPN, but they're not going to know how any of these other 5 major sectors work. It's too big and too complicated a company for one CEO to get a handle on. And that was the problem with Chapek. So what do? You got to make it simpler. You got to sell off some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so I think this is that perfectly diagnoses why he's sheepish, right? Because any move he makes is only going to make things either more complicated, or it makes it more difficult for him to explain it to someone who might come in and buy it. And I think you're right. Who's going to be able to come in and buy Disney? And they probably could find someone, but it probably wouldn't feel like a great match. And I do think if he sells to some Chinese conglomerate, that puts a big damper on his legacy. And I think he is concerned about that. It seems like to me, based on him having that book where he talks about how good he was for Disney.
There's so much kind of, whether sincere or not, Americana thrown in with that Disney brand that it would be. I don't think it would go over well if you try to sell Disney to a Chinese conglomerate or something like that.
Yep. I am interested to see where this gets pushed. Do you see Disney doing some half measure, being like, hey, let's start our own publishing label yet again?
Yeah, bring back Disney Interactive. No, I think they're going to stay this course. I think they're going to continue to just license things out. I think that's going to be fine. They're going to throw stuff out there, see which things hit and which don't. I don't think they're going to make any big bets with gaming anytime soon.
All right, let's keep moving here. Activision says it won't put games in Game Pass right away. Mike, right before we started, you mentioned some little tidbit. Activision's stock price has been frozen, right?
Yes. You cannot make transactions on it right now.
Then we heard last week that they were aiming to close the deal by the end of this week, and that is literally tomorrow. So I think we can probably expect that deal to close by maybe the end of day tomorrow, maybe even first thing tomorrow. Yeah.
Oh, can you imagine? He's done.
It's just like you're just daydreaming about getting on the other side of this. What's that, Christian?
It's October. It's over. We did it. We survived.
We've survived it. We made it, everybody. So in response to people anticipating this, Activision's like, yo, keep buying the video games though, homie. Like, we're not going to be putting stuff into Game Pass right away. And that seems mostly true. What we do, like the key ones here are Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 and Diablo 4. Modern Warfare 3 has the deal with Sony contractually. In that contract, 100%, it's going to say you cannot put this in Game Pass. That contract definitely says that. So that was never going to happen. Diablo 4, Microsoft had that contract. I think they were like, nah, that game's going to keep selling through the holidays. We're going to keep operating under that stuff. Everything else, though, Mike, I think is fair game. And I think everything else is fair game, like, right away, like tomorrow, right away.
Sure, right. No, exactly. Like, you'll get Diablo 2, Resurrection.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Or you could. Like, we're not saying, like, for sure you're going to get all of those games. You're definitely not going to get all those games. But a couple.
You'll get, like, Crash. Yeah, but, like, you'll get Crash 4 probably,
right.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe Tony Hawk, Spyro Reignited, stuff like that. But, yeah, Diablo 4, God, that is a big investment from them that they are still hoping to sell probably through this holiday season quite a bit. That one might be. But also, if you want to make a statement, you want to have something big, you can say, hey, yeah, and now Diablo 4 is on Game Pass. That would be the most exciting one, I think, for a lot of people.
I think it's the kind of thing where if you have Diablo 4 by Christmas Day, that's a big thing. Because, you know, a lot of people get Xbox's Game Pass for Christmas and being like, okay, now you can play that game right now. That would be pretty effective. They don't have to do that one day one. And they can also be like, oh, well, you know, we said next year. It's close enough. It's basically next year. We're going to go on holiday. We'll see you next year. Yeah. But here's Diablo 4. And then by then, it's like you get you're going to get all the holiday sales you were expecting. A lot of people probably would buy a game like Diablo 4 on Christmas Day, but mostly it would probably be a lot more effective if it goes into Game Pass by then.
Yeah, no, absolutely makes sense. I'm trying to think, like, what would be like the Prey, like the stuff like, oh, I missed this when it came out. Now it's on Game Pass because they bought Bethesda. Honestly, for a lot of people, it should be Crash 4. Not enough of you played that. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what does show up. And then again, assuming this is ending tomorrow, and it sure seems like it will. Yeah,
there's obviously the FTC is still trying to do some stuff with this, but they don't have any right to stop the deal as it is. And the CMA was like, oh yeah, we're looking at some stuff, and Europe was like, oh, you changed the deal, so we were going to look at it, but everyone's like, whatever, we're good, keep going. Deal's probably going to close tomorrow, but we'll see. You know, we'll wake up tomorrow and we'll see what actually happens. Japanese Switch sales this fiscal year are tracking ahead of last year, Mike.
What the hell? Oh, it's Pikmin. It's because of Pikmin.
Yeah, big part of Pikmin. Zelda is also helping, and then Super Mario Wonder, I think, is picking up sales as well. So Nintendo Switch sales in Japan are tracking ahead of last year with 2.28 million units sold in the first half of the fiscal 2024. Themed OLED editions of the console, such as the Legend of Zelda and the Super Mario console, this is the one that just popped off, have helped boost sales. I guess it did like 115,000 units sold in Japan because of the Mario one. Nintendo expects to sell 15 million Switch consoles in the current fiscal year and is working on a successor to the console, which is expected to debut in the second half of next year. Turns out that Zelda Mario 1-2 punch that helped the system in the first year is helping the system apparently it's last year or one of its last years. Very effective, that combo.
It's a very good combo, and it's going to be, interesting because when the Switch 2 happens, you could still have the Mario because you're probably going to have the next 3D Mario game, and maybe you can kind of fake a Zelda on there. Maybe that's when you do your Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, whatever, or another port. But it's not going to be like Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom.
Yep, it's you try to replicate that effect, but you could get close. And you don't have to keep growing in your 7th year or whatever it is for the Switch. If it was like, hey, we are having a graceful exit, it is coming down 15%, they would be thrilled with that. The fact that, this is just Japan. Japan still very, very, very hot on the Switch. Not like some afterthought. They are making a lot of money from gamers in Japan. Pikmin selling almost 1 million copies physically alone in Japan. That is real money. That's real big money. So they're feeling pretty good about this. But worldwide, obviously, we are transitioning to the next console. And this just is like icing on a cake of Nintendo being like, hey, we had a huge hit and we kind of did everything right to ensure that it was as profitable as possible. So yeah, I mean, the pressure is going to be on them to replicate that with the next system, and that's going to come down once again to the games. That is the thing that Nintendo's done the most of, where it's like, hey, we're going to have the games that are going to people who want to play this system, and we'll see how that actually shapes up. I still am like, man, what are they going to have to launch that Switch 2 with? I suppose if they have Mario Kart 9, that's probably going to be all they need, but anything else?
Yeah, that'll be big.
Yes.
Yep.
All right, finally, Nintendo has changed the Princess Peach Showtime artwork to make Peach look, and this is from a different headline, angrier. And I don't agree. I don't think she looks angrier. But Nintendo changed this artwork. She originally just had that, as Turbo Sean said, the blow-up doll face, and I think that is very offensive, even though it's completely accurate and 100% true.
You can't just call me out like that, man. What the hell? It's true, though.
It's true. It's true. I don't mind it so much, but I definitely like this better. This looks like a real character now who actually has thoughts, and that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I first saw this, Jeff, it was from the lens of people who are very upset about the change.
Yeah,
and I was just like, oh, that looks way better.
When
everybody,
when I first saw it, I was like, I think people are gonna assume this is woke, and I'm like, yeah, it's so woke that you want to make it look like the very popular movie that you made, and you want to make more money because of it. That's all this is, really.
It's fun. Well, it looks more like the movie because she actually is like capable of expressing her emotions on her face. Like that's the reason it looks more like the movie. But you know, like she has like that determined like look when she's doing her like kung fu stuff now or whatever. Like the old one, she just has her Princess Peach face. That only face she looks, and it looks real stupid. So. This is just better to me. I don't know why anybody has a problem with it, except for the fact that it is a small amount of change. Like we've had one version of Princess Peach for a very long time. You've heard me before. I always thought that Princess Peach was kind of weird. I never liked that design of Princess Peach. Movie Princess Peach, way better. This take seems better. I'm excited for this game.
Yeah, her entire characterization in Super Mario Sunshine is ditz. It's bimbo.
Yeah.
It is empty-headed
it's
bimbo.
Awful.
Yeah, it's been kind of.
Oh my god!
It hasn't deviated or evolved much from that.
Yeah.
It's gotten a little better here and there, but not measurably better.
Right.
And this feels like an opportunity to establish Princess Peach as a strong character, not like strong female character. So I mean like a strong character that can sell well and can appeal to a different demographic. This is an opportunity, and they need to like seize it by actually treating the character with some respect. And that's what this feels like. This feels like them being considerate of like, what would a little girl want to see from a character, and having her be able to make a face like I punch hard or I kick hard when I'm a kung fu master, which is like that another one of the faces they changed on the cover is like now she looks like she's determined and
no, they Kirby-fied it, Jeff. They made her mad for no reason.
They gave her angry eyebrows, and it's like I don't know, people make faces like that for all kinds of reasons. So yeah, I'm pretty happy with this, again, as someone who is going to have his little girls try to play this and hopefully latch onto it, because I want to play it. So I think this is nothing but a good thing.
Remember the last time we had a Princess Peach game, and like wasn't all built around her like her overly emotional woman emotions.
Her female emotions were her power, and it was the one I always remember is, hey, she can cry so much that like she can make water fill up the world or whatever.
It's almost impressive because that is more emotions than she usually has in the game. At
right?
least.
Yeah. In some ways, it's kind of nice, but
kind of problematic the emotions they picked.
Just
but
crazy that's the game they made, and that was in the 2000s. Turns out the 2000s were just kind of riddled with that sort of thinking, not just for. This is how women are, but like just everything. Every comic book was terrible with its like bigoted language and stuff like that. So yeah.
Remember you played Mortal Kombat 9?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's just we were still doing this with our portrayal of women in games, aren't we? Huh?
Yep. And so it's like, man, that was just that long ago, and here we are, I guess. All right, Mike, that's the big stories I have. We got some super chats coming in. Let's take a quick break. Let's get to some of the super chats that are bringing up some of these topics, including one of the things I wanted to correct anyhow. So we'll talk about that right after this.
Fantastic.
This is a break.
All right, we are on break.
We are on a break.
You know, a good thing to do while you're on a break.
It's a break.
What?
Tweet.
I saw you. I was wondering what that. I was wondering what that bird was in chat. Now I realize.
No wonder we only have 67 likes. It's because Jeff Grubb didn't tweet. Wow.
67.
That alone is the reason that nobody knows the show is happening tonight.
Hey, now. Look, maybe I forgot to schedule it like usual, but it's fine. We're here. We're all having fun. We're all laughing. This is the story of a girl.
Song's about Peach, you know.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I don't know why I keep trying to find a way to relate these things to new metal. There's no way to do that.
Yeah,
just
but what if it was? What if it was new metal?
I mean, there's a Linkin Park lyric for everything.
Yeah, but it's mostly about like not liking your parents. Actually, those lyrics.
Fucking New Jersey Devils. Okay. I think that we are. I'm gonna just ban Mike real quick, not you.
Ban me?
No. And he said, "Please don't ban me right away." Okay. We can get back into it right now. Is everyone ready?
I see it. Yeah, I'm ready.
I am ready.
Okay. We're back, Mike. We got some super chats. Why don't you read those for me, please?
Willow Davis says, always exciting to see what special guests they're going to have this week on Mike Minotti's Game Mess Decides. Isn't it, though, Willow? Isn't it? Amarical says, I am 26 hours in boring ass Cyberpunk. Lol. Heart. Yeah, I know. I feel bad. But I don't get it. How am I the one who has to defend Red Dead Redemption 2 from you? And yet I was bothered even more than you were by Cyberpunk's intro. I'm like, Dan didn't have a problem with it. So what's with me? Am I losing it?
I don't know. I'm just as confused as everyone else. I'm as confused as you are. But I've been happy to sit back and let you take the heat. Cause I'm like, oh man, now my 3 out of 5 looks really tame.
Yeah, no, I'm the guy here who doesn't like Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
At some point, maybe I should try just starting with the expansion.
I think you would definitely.
For that.
I mean, there's like a little bit of a stilted start there, but yeah, no, it gets going much faster, and I think it's much more interesting across the board. Like the characters they introduce you to, like their purpose and the reason that they're in the story immediately, and it's all very propulsive. So yeah, I think you'd probably get into that a little bit more. Still Cyberpunk deep down, which people like.
Yeah, El Grug says, is there a really bad Blight Club-worthy hockey game just so Jeff can be forced to own and wear a Blackhawks jersey? I mean, sports games are rough because, like, I don't know. How interesting is it to watch somebody play a bad sports game? They're usually not bad in funny ways.
Right, yeah. I don't know, we could look around and see, but yeah.
Look around.
I agree. Oh, fuck. That's not great.
About the hockey team?
Yeah, they just, it might be close to a penalty shot. No, it's not.
Oh, shit.
Yep, go ahead.
Antonio Morales says Best Buy will stop selling physical media in 2024. Insert its Jover meme. Also, my buddy Daniel Villanueva wears gloves at the gym. Thanks, guys.
Sounds like it's just movies right now. Movies, and I don't know. Do they still sell music? I wonder if they even sell CDs still.
Oh, gosh. I mean, so that's when I think about it, like, I remember when we had our Best Buy open, probably like 1993, 1994, and there was a giant CD section. That was most of the store. Then a big DVD section or movie section. Then became DVDs, got bigger, and a big video game section. Music section was the first to go, Jeff. Right?
Yep.
Like just slowly got smaller and smaller till it's gone. And that's been happening to movies for a while now, right? It used to be this huge thing. Now it's like an aisle, and like video games are just there too. I've literally been watching the decline of physical media through the lens of Best Buy for like 20 years now. So none of this is too surprising to me.
Yeah, same. Yeah. But I mean, they have no plans apparently to get rid of games yet, but I don't think it's necessary. Like, it's not like in 5 years, I wouldn't be surprised. There's no games left in Best Buy. Probably not even that long. We'll
speaking of this track, Nintendo says, I was just in a Best Buy with no physical movies. It would surprise me if they went that way with games. Related, does anyone know where to find the Ace Attorney anime? Physically, nah, Derek, I do not, actually. Sorry.
Yeah, I do hope that, like, for movies, there's a renewed effort to back this stuff up on archive.org, because that a lot of these movies aren't streaming anywhere, not even on video on demand. I remember that happened with Strange Days a couple years ago. Apparently, Strange Days now on Max, the one to watch for HBO. But for years there, you could not stream that anywhere. Couldn't buy it on video on demand. And so, well, I have my copy that I put on Plex a long time ago. But yeah, it's going to be a weird period here for the next couple of years while we figure out what legacy media looks like for movies.
I try to, I don't think I'm like a big nostalgic for physical guy, but boy, I sure did watch a lot more movies and stuff like that back when I would go to the Suncoast Video or Best Buy or the rental places and get this stuff. Like something about that made it fun and exciting for me. Even though I clearly have more infinite choice now. I'm sure I'm not the first person to have these thoughts. Yeah.
I know what you mean.
Lurking with my gherkin says, I want a detachable disk drive to go with my detachable Penny 5. I love you guys. Thank you, Lurkin. EP88 Box says, Disney Deputy is my pet name for Mike. Thank you. Cody Clemens says, give Disney to John Drake and watch the world burn. Yeah, it'll burn because he will still refuse to remake Quackshot.
Yep.
Yeah, how dare you forget Quackshot's name earlier today, by the way.
It's not a real video game.
You'll pay for that. Peep says, do you think GameStop might last a little longer if other brick box stores stop selling physical? That's interesting. You think if like everyone has to go to GameStop to get physical, is that going to help them?
Yeah, I mean, it would help them a little bit. I mean, every little bit's going to help. I mean, I think there's like store versus store comparison. I think a lot of stores were doing better there for a little bit, GameStop. But it's not going to prolong their life to some huge degree.
No, because I mean, ultimately, the trend is still going away from physical. People will stop making physical games, and they won't have anything to sell.
Right.
Then let's see here now. Fitz, sir, says, please tell Bob Iger and Philip Spencer to get Raven on Star Wars, Dark Forces 5, Jedi Knight 4, Jedi Outcast 3, Jedi Academy 2, Jedi University ASAP. God, I would love it if they made another one of those just so I could do that the entire time.
I mean,
talk about it.
It would be worth it, of course.
You don't know how much joy it gives me to do that stupid joke every time.
I can tell. I can tell.
You can probably tell. B. Traven says, happy to hear a Jeff Grubb Game S shout out on 84 Play. Not sure if you listened to that pod, but you guys should go on there sometime. Oh,
I have listened a bunch of times. I haven't listened to this week's episode. When did they do it? Because I love the 84 Play guys. They're great.
I noticed that they said Jeff Grubb / Game S shout out and not a Mike Minotti shout. So I will continue to abstain from their show until I personally called upon. Burrito says, Mike, do you think you dislike Cyberpunk because your naive inner Disney child can't stomach the troll-ish nihilism of the game? Also, guys, was I the only one who thought RoboCop Rogue City ruled? At times, it looked shockingly polished. So, I even brought this up. That maybe part of my problem with Cyberpunk is just that I am way too used to Star Trek Next Generation and, like, Epcot Future World. Like, I that's what I like. Hey, yeah, maybe the future's going to be nice. And you can have some conflict there. You could do stuff with that. But, yeah, the whole Cyberpunk, like, everything's filled with garbage. People are going to get shot on the street as you walk by. Everyone's on drugs or dirty, or you walk into a store and there's a neon sign that says "fuck till your dick bleeds." Like, it's a bit much for me.
Yeah, I definitely find that off-putting a little bit as well. I'm like, I get it. I did read Bianca Reichert, Dan's wife. She put a good article up on Polygon. Talking about like when she was like won over by it. And I'm like, I get it, especially the way the character talks, which is something I have had a problem with. Mostly because I think the writing is cheesy, I think. But her point was like, look at the world they grew up in. It's kind of how they would talk. I'm like, I get it. It's still not working for me, but at least I understand this point of view and why people are being won over by it. It's like not, I don't think it's a reflection on poor taste for people who do like Cyberpunk.
Sure.
It's just not working for me.
There's like, I can like stuff that's a little grittier, fine. It's not like, like something like not necessarily sci-fi, but like a Skyrim. It's not like that's like a happy rainbow place. I can do that stuff. Even Star Wars to some degree. But I don't know. There's a lot of factors probably that went into Cyberpunk for me.
Real quick, Mike,
yes,
if I may. This is actually what in the Game Club discussion we had on Starfield, I think it was Matt who brought it up. He was like, this isn't NASA punk. There's no punk in Starfield. That's literally the punk in Cyberpunk.
Sure.
Is like the being a shithead constantly.
Right.
Sort of
And it is because like Cyberpunk is one of the few things with like Blink Punk that is actually more about the punk in a lot of ways still. Like
so
there's no punk and steampunk anymore, really.
Right, exactly. So I think this world
it.
maybe just wasn't for you. Yeah.
That's fine.
Let's shift over to RoboCop Rogue City real quick. People are like, let's listen to the Kind of Funny guys talk about it, and they seem pretty enamored with it. But then Andy was like, it's like a really solid 6 out of 10. And I'm like, I think if you are having a really good time with the game, even if you can look at it and be like, with its parts put together the way it is, it should be a 6 out of 10. I think you got to be like, throw that out the window and be like, no, I am having a certain level of fun that rises above that. And the score, whatever, should reflect that. People shouldn't be scared away from like a game that is a B game that actually then rises above its component parts. I don't know. I don't know if that's even like a conversation people care to have, but it's one that I've been thinking about recently because I watched you play that and I was having a great time just based on what you were playing, and I haven't touched it yet, and I kind of can't wait to try it myself.
Yeah, I had a surprisingly good time with it. Like I heard nice things, but I don't know. It was just feeling really good. I mean, it's nothing like super complicated, but it was very good at being a RoboCop game, right? Like it is Peter Weller. It has that look. I mean, hey, RoboCop is kind of cyberpunky itself, right? And so I can tolerate it here. So that's not the end all be all of why I'm not getting into cyberpunk for sure. But just like, I don't know, something about that simple mechanic of grabbing people and throwing them around. I know other games have done that. It feels very good here. Just the impact of shooting people feels fantastic. There's that one little clip where like I shoot a guy in the dick, of course, and as he's like falling over from that, I then shoot him in the head, and he goes flying back, and then I grab a guy, I throw him outside, and as he's falling, his head just lands on like a fire escape and like bounces off, and there's more blood. It sounds real gruesome, but it was just, I don't know, it was great. It was a shockingly good time. I'm looking forward to this.
Me too. Any other super chats, Mike?
Yes, we have a few more here from Clint Gilmore. Beef and Cheddar Boys flying to Disney tomorrow. Should I play RE4 or Kirby on the way? Mike, what's the one thing I gotta have or do there? I think I want to play RE4 while traveling. I think Kirby's a better travel game, to be honest.
Sorry, hockey.
That was that nice. And then so my favorite thing in Disney World is the Nomad Lounge in Animal Kingdom. It's just a lounge with like some small bites and some nice cocktails, but it's very, I'm not going to say cozy because people call me a hypocrite, even though I only mean that in games. It's a very comfortable, nicely themed, pleasant place. It's right before the entrance to all the Avatar stuff. Go in the app or go there. You have to kind of put your name in, and then they'll call you back later. You can't get reservations. You have to do it the day you're in the park. But it's worth doing. The Avatar ride is also fantastic. Like, I don't know what you feel about Avatar, but do that. And also make sure you do that Star Wars ride, Rise of the Resistance. It is actually incredible. Johnny Boy says Mario Wonder is leaking. It looks dope. I bet it does. Oh boy, I would love to play Mario Wonder. I can't wait for it to come out.
Yeah, same. People have been running to Target to play it, but of course it's going to leak and people are going to be playing the whole game here any minute now.
Brio says, P.S. unpopular opinion. I love Cyberpunk, but if you've read some books before, you can tell its world building / writing is weak, in my honest opinion. And then Big Fresh 37 says, Animorphs check. I never said I was going to read Animorphs. I don't know if you were, Jeff, I think.
I read the first book, I listened to the first book on Audible, and I had a good time with it. It's very interesting. It seems like one of those early, YA books that's like, hey, we're going to be about something, and I was pretty impressed by it.
That's it for Super Chats for now. If you guys want to send more, we will read them before the end of the show. Promise.
All right, let's take another quick break, and when we get back, Sean, do we have a game? I forgot to ask.
Not this week.
Okay, cool.
That's fine, because we're going to do best game of 2005.
That's right. We're going to do that, and then we're going to get on out of here. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll be right back after this.
This is a break. This is bonus content for the people that keeps listening to the podcast.
Yeah. If you listen to afterward, you get all this bonus stuff. Hello, how are you doing? Okay, let's see. Let me do this.
This is the after show gang. Hashtag after show gang.
Yeah, what up? Okay. Let's see.
Gang. Did anybody watch the Cyberpunk anime? I think that anime is pretty good.
Yeah, Jeff, you gotta watch Edge Runners, dude.
I will watch that. That does sound like a good time.
Gonna be sad. That anime does have shit to
Well,
say
I'd love to
about
be sad.
society.
Yeah. Edge Runners is
game.
like, what if Cyberpunk told like a really good story?
You know what?
What
I
if
think we
like
need a new one.
crack cocaine was bad?
Well, that seems
debatable.
pretty far fetched. Okay, view, freeze, row 1.
I really like that anime. I haven't even touched the game.
Skeet, motherfucker.
Out of all the things to come out of Mike's mouth, that's not expected right now.
Okay, that looks good. That looks good. I can move
Anybody
that
watching
that.
Jujutsu Kaisen? Let's
Oh
go.
my god.
All right, let's bring it back in. Are we good?
Chef will like Jujutsu. Okay,
Yes.
let's do this shit.
Okay, let's do it. We're back. The year's 2005. I am probably working at FedEx. I don't remember. Maybe Subway. I can't remember.
I'm graduating from high school.
I'm drinking a Zima and getting heartburn. It's a hell of a time. Even at that point, Zima was deeply uncool, and I did not choose it myself. Someone just handed it to me. All right, Mike, you want to explain how we normally do this and what we have going on here?
Yeah, so we've just been going through the years here, looking at the North American releases for games and trying to figure out the top 5, ranking them. So it's been kind of fun to go back and retroactively. You know, everybody does Game of the Year at the time. It's kind of fun to do it with some perspective, Jeff.
Yes, definitely. It's I feel differently about my favorite games of these years as we've gone through them now than I would have at the time, 100%. So it is definitely very cool to do this. All right. 2005, not as good of a year as 2004.
No, 2004 is an all-timer. There's still some good stuff here.
Absolutely.
But we're at the very end of one generation. So like GameCube and the original Xbox are pretty much done. GameCube has a little bit happening, but Xbox 360 launches, which is cool. Xbox 360 launch games aren't exactly amazing, though. I mean, there's some decent stuff there. Nothing that's going to probably be on this list, I imagine. So it is a transition year for sure.
Yes.
PlayStation 2 still has a lot of good stuff coming out.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
that's where we're gonna be seeing a lot of stuff coming from there, and a little bit of GameCube love still. Don't worry, but it is slowing down.
This is also a time though where it's like I gotta like double check because things were getting ported from one system after being on another system the year before, and the PS2 was getting a lot of that stuff because it was selling so well that let's put Resident Evil 4 on there and stuff like that. But that's one obviously we know, but there's a lot of examples like that. I will say. Kind of early on, the game that pops out to me from the PS2 is God of War, a game I really, really, really like.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because, I mean, it's funny to think at a time, Jeff, when this was sort of a surprising new IP, but it was. God of War kind of came out of nowhere and did a really, really cool action game presentation. It had a really impressive scale, especially for the PlayStation 2, just the moments when those camera would sort of zoom out and, you would see like a guy in the background doing stuff. I still kind of like the setup of God of War. Also, it was a bit more puzzle heavy than maybe future series or future entries would be. There was some fun twists. It was all very fresh and new at this time.
And the threesomes.
Right. Yeah. You talk about 2000s. We still had some juvenile women and sex stuff for sure. And you still, Kratos is a kind of screamy edgelord guy. Like that is that version of the character. There is some depth there, but this isn't the Kratos we know from the newer games.
Mike, do you know that you can play the minigame with one hand?
All right. Go back in your hole.
I'll always remember about this game from the preview period, and I don't even know if this is true or not. Back then, who knows what coverage was like. But hearing like, the guy that worked on like Street Fighter 2 or the Street Fighter, maybe it was Street Fighter 3, but like the combo system, he came to work on God of War to make the combo system for this game. And I'm like, well, yeah, I believe it. I play that game. This combo system feels really, really good. So I remember picking up and like this combat just immediately feels fantastic. You feel very powerful. You can just chain everything into everything else. I still of the God of War series, this is still up there for me as one of my favorites, and I still prefer this style over the newer ones. Not that I have any hate for the newer ones, but I really like God of War a lot.
And it made the PlayStation 2 often could feel sort of weak compared to the Xbox and GameCube. This made the PlayStation 2 feel pretty powerful.
Right.
It was a very pretty game.
When developers were making games just for the PS2, it was, okay, they can get a lot of horsepower out of this machine, and it's evident on the screen. God of War, a lot of that is cool design, great scale, like you said. That was a huge part of it. Yeah. But it just straight up looked good. It was a straight up good-looking game.
I mean, you kind of mentioned this, but Resident Evil 4 did come out this year.
Right.
Which is...
Jesus Christ.
Yes, it is very good. It still, it basically invented the third-person shooter as it would be, or at least started that process. Maybe Gears of War closed it out by ditching the tank controls and things like that. But the whole, we got over the shoulder from this, and we never looked back, Jeff.
Yep. This is how you get your Gears of Wars, and basically this is how you get. You're right. All the modern games. This is like every Sony game now is a successor of Resident Evil 4. Absolutely, the over the shoulder camera, and it's because it was right. This is the sort of correct way to do a very bombastic cinematic action game. You want to get down there. You want to be in the action. You want to feel the visceral effect of these excellent visuals, which they were for Resident Evil 4. They were incredible. It is an amazing looking game, that original one to this day. And then you just have like really solid gameplay, really great shooting, really great enemy encounters, cool set pieces, a lot of variety. Some of it like kind of goes off the rails a little bit, but in a fun way.
Yeah, exactly. Everyone does that. It's kind of like, the one bad guy during the castle, right? The guy looks like a kid.
Ramon
it's goofy,
Salazar. Yeah. It's
goofy,
it's
but
great.
in a fun way.
I adore Resident Evil 4. They really nailed it. And this is like the way you were playing Resident Evil 4 earlier this year. I played the original Resident Evil 4 that year like that, where I'm playing this over and over and over again. This is all I want to be playing. And so, yeah, it's definitely up there.
I'm going to say this right now because I saw someone in chat say this. Kingdom Hearts came out in Japan in 2005, came out in the US in 2006. So you're safe for now, Jeff.
Thank God. Okay. Another week I get to survive. Okay. I would have to double check this. Did Shadow of the Colossus come out in
Shadow of the Colossus did in fact come out in 2005. Jeff.
Yeah. I feel like at first blush this might feel like a game that people like, oh, do you like that game? No, I love Shadow of the Colossus. A big part of it is I understood what they were trying to do. It was all about the scale. It's about the unspoken emotions. I really like the fact that there is basically no dialogue. It's like just go in there and experience this world, experience these creatures. And I think that the gameplay is very compelling of just trying to climb these things, finding a way around them. It is it's small in a way in terms of like what you're doing, but it's very effective. It's just like, no, you are this little creature climbing up these big things, and the reason why you're doing it, like it feels like the right thing to do, feels sort of like the right thing to do until the first time you take one of these things down, and you're like, okay, I just kind of rode my horse over there and killed it. And are we going to reckon with this? And the way you do reckon with this is actually super interesting. But yeah, I really like Shadow of the Colossus. And at the time, it felt like, whoa, this is what games are going to be from now on. And really after that, we didn't get a lot of like other games like Shadow of the Colossus. No, so it feels even more special in a lot of ways.
But when we used the word before, but it does sort of feel like scale was becoming more and more important in games.
Definitely.
And that was something here. I adored Shadow of the Colossus. I thought it was just the coolest thing when it came out, and I still really like it. I still remember that first time fighting that bird boss where he kind of like does a loop, and when you're at the top of it, you fall off it, but you can grab back onto him at the bottom of his loop after falling for a bit. That was like one of the coolest things, still one of the coolest things I had ever done in a video game. You're right, just the presentation of it. It manages to feel like this kind of like almost eerily empty world, but like in a interesting, fun way. It's quiet in an interesting way, but just the bosses, they all feel so good. They're like little puzzles you have to solve. Love Shadow of the Colossus. Definitely my favorites of like that trilogy. I said Shadow of the Colossus. Do you have one? Because like I actually began like running out of steam pretty quickly here. I have a couple more from this year that I really like, but yeah. Because again, this isn't like the craziest year ever. It's funny, Nintendogs came out this year.
Yes. I do love Nintendogs. It's just not a top 5 game.
No, it probably isn't. The first Psychonauts came out. I like Psychonauts. I think the sequel was better pretty much in every major way. Okay, here's one probably should really be considered here is Guitar Hero, the original Guitar Hero.
Yeah, I would consider it for sure.
Yeah, Guitar Hero 1. Again, I was really into Guitar Freaks, which was like Konami's thing that Guitar Hero was inspired by, but then Guitar Hero, got actual license, or at least more licensed songs, and was obviously more American and was easy to buy here. Yeah, it was just a ton of fun. I like the song list in the original Guitar Hero a lot. If I hear a song on the radio from there, I still kind of associate it with this version of the game. This is actually probably when Guitar...
We played that over and over and over again.
Yeah, Take Me Out, Godzilla.
Yeah, God, man.
Yeah, Bark at the Moon. I know sequels are probably better. I know Guitar Hero 2 is it for a lot of people. Guitar Hero 1, I don't know why. That was the one I played the most. That was when I was having the most fun with it.
Yeah, I was so excited about this. I got it right away. I mean, obviously they were talking about it in magazines and stuff like that because it was this promise of Guitar Freaks coming home, and it's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna try this out. They're gonna bring it home, and then the reviewers were like, this is amazing, this is great. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna try this. And of course, it's the kind of thing where you introduce it to all your friends, and even the people who don't play games get into it, and that's really exciting. And then at Christmas, like we're playing. I remember my brother-in-law at the time was playing that Boston More Than Feeling song over and over and over again, trying to perfect it. It's like, yeah, this is fantastic. Everyone's having a good time watching them get better and better and better. It is to this day, it's like, oh yeah, this is just a really good concept, matching up Note Highway with music and a dedicated controller. It doesn't have to be a dedicated controller, but it's better with a dedicated controller that mimics those motions, and you end up feeling like you're doing something that approximates music, and that's it's exciting. It's a really good game. They really kind of got it right out of the gate.
This was the year of Luminous and Meteos. I know everybody likes Luminous, Jeff. I always liked Meteos.
I'm a Meteos guy. Yeah, I'm definitely a Meteos guy. That's I've gone back to try to play Luminous, and I don't get it. I don't.
Is it like Luminous is a lot like Res to me? Everyone's like it interacts with the music, and like in a way, it does. But not
there's
in, like,
some beeps and boops here. Yeah,
like nothing that really impacts the gameplay. I think it thinks it's kind of like pulse. Like it's nice, it's fine, but. I don't know.
I would with Luminous. I'm like, maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the one who's wrong. I don't know.
Maybe I agree. Maybe there's something to it. Maybe I'm not getting something. But
I don't. But I definitely do not get it though.
Yeah, there's like a lot of like games that like, oh, I like that game. Is it really a top 5 game of the year? Like I like Metroid Prime Pinball. SmackDown versus Raw 2006. That's still my favorite wrestling game. Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. Actually, I like that one a lot, and I never actually had a problem with the touchscreen stuff in that one. I thought it was fine.
Yeah, because you're doing it to like cast spells, right? It actually felt.
You had to do a seal on the boss, which wasn't hard. And there was some stuff where you had to like tap away ice blocks. I don't know.
It was fine. Yeah,
I was like, that's neat.
I like that game. Yeah. Man, did Resident Evil 5 really come out in 2005 in Japan?
No way.
That can't be right. That can't be right. Okay, I'm just looking at this list.
Absolutely not.
I like Mario Kart DS a lot. But
it is one of the better Mario Karts for a while.
It's one of the better ones, but it's like for me, it doesn't. It is all about Mario Kart 8 at this point for me. So it's like even going back, I'm like, I don't need to recognize Mario Kart DS. So Civilization 4 though, that is kind of my civ.
Baba Yetu.
Yeah, let's fucking get these kids again with Baba Yetu.
Yeah.
I played a ton of Civilization 3. That's also mine, but I really got into Civilization 4. I had a computer that could barely play it, but I was like waiting for it. And I played it day one. And I just played this game forever and ever and ever. It got a lot of stuff right with especially the hexagons and was it the hexagon? I can't remember, but it was like the stacks of armies.
This was the first. This one was still tiles. I believe.
Yes, this was still tiles.
5 is the first hexagon.
Right,
one.
5 was the hexagon one. But yes, but like this one still got like it got a lot of stuff right in terms of you want to look at the world and you want to see your monuments get built up and you want to have these stacks of doom going at each other and you want to have feel like a cultural victory is actually possible. And those are the ones that I always had the most fun with. Cultural victories, some religion stuff, but mostly cultural. And it's like, oh man, that just felt really good back then. Obviously, a lot of people are like, hey, your first Civ is the one you really get into. And this was my first real Civ that I put a ton of time into.
This was the Leonard Nimoy one too, right?
Yes, that was very effective. Leonard Nimoy reading the tech tree stuff is really great. To this day, I think of whenever I hear like one of those brought up in my head, Leonard Nimoy saying the little phrase, it plays immediately. So yeah, it's a very effective stuff.
All right, here's a big one for me, actually. Which actually first came out in Japan for the Game Boy Advance in 2001, but we didn't get it till it got ported to the Nintendo DS in 2005. Phoenix Wright, Ace Attorney.
All right.
Just such a adorable game for as much murder that's in it. Just a fun time. I really like these goofy characters. I like the whole system. I mean, you know me, I like that Columbo stuff. I also kind of like courtroom drama stuff, and this is just both of it. Even the stupid gimmick of yelling objection into the microphone was fun. I would do it in public and my friends would make fun of me, and I just took it in stride because I was like, I'm sorry, I'm not pushing a button. I'm going to yell objection.
I'm going to get my money's worth.
That's right. I loved the LucasArts adventure games, and at this point, those were all done and dusted. This is what scratched that itch again for me. Love this series to this day, but there's something about that first one that is still really special to me. The whole Miles Edgeworth character arc was a lot of fun, seeing where that went. God, love Phoenix Wright. I got my objection pillow. This is a big one for me.
Yes, we got that up there on the short list. I don't know. I kind of want to put Animal Crossing Wild World up there. I think that's the DS one, I believe.
That was the best one for a while.
It's in a lot of ways probably still the best one. But I don't know. I kind of fine with it not making this list. It's a very, very good game. And I spent hundreds of hours playing it.
Right. Okay, this is interesting. So, because we have the DS at this point, but Minish Cap came out in the US in 2005. Okay. I forgot it was that late on the Game Boy Advance.
You want it up there?
Yeah, I like Minish Cap a lot. I know you weren't exactly super in love with it, but I really like Minish Cap. I still think it has some of my favorite dungeons of the top-down games in a lot of really fun bosses too. And I like that translation of the Wind Waker style into the sort of Link to the Past sprite-based stuff. It works for me.
Is this the year that San Andreas came out?
No, I think we did San Andreas last year.
I thought San Andreas was last year. Okay, so again, that's the port. Year. I keep seeing it on lists. I'm like, that doesn't sound right.
Yeah, that was last year for sure.
Okay. Yeah. I well, Ninja Gaiden Black, is that one that you are?
I mean, but that's just the better version of Ninja Gaiden.
Right, okay. I mean, and then the Simpsons Hit and Run, that's the other one that I keep seeing
Simpsons
pop up.
Hit and Run's good. I mean, because we have Metal Gear Solid 3 Subsistence, which is definitely the version of that game I like to play, but we already gave
totally
Snake Eater.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, I like Simpsons Hit and Run a good amount. Is it a top 5 game of the year? Maybe this year it is, because it's not a super heavy year. It is a lot of fun.
I'm gonna get the podcast producers ready to go here in a second.
Yeah, we might need some help. I mean, I say some things that I just never really played much of that I know some people probably advocate for. Maybe.
How about Devil May Cry 3?
That is probably a lot of people still think that's one of the best ones. I'm just not a.
It's the second best one after just DMC.
After just DMC, I'm just not a big DMC guy. You know that. I'm really not. But I do like 3. I like Lady.
What came out this year? You should definitely talk about.
Is there some fighting game?
Is it? No, Mike. Here it is.
Star Wars Battlefront 2.
God.
Fucking go, baby. We will not be silenced. We will not go quietly into the night.
But you have to stop yelling. Holy shit.
Try to gaslight all of us out here and think it's not a good game.
Oh my God, you were
man.
Man, just because you peaked so hard during that, I will absolutely not put it on. No, I just don't get it. I don't get it.
I know you don't, and it's amazing that you have such bad taste in video games.
Yeah,
okay, Mike, that's why the rest of us are here.
Well, we'll see. Maybe the podcast producers.
How about this? Let's see how many times it gets mentioned by the podcast producers.
Yeah, you'll see.
Christian, can you go and delete all of them real quick?
No, I like that game. What are you talking about?
He's on my side.
I'm on his side. What the fuck?
All right, from Evo Janus, Resident Evil 4, obvious, and then the runner-up is Mario Kart DS. Mr. Bowler mentions Resident Evil 4 is the best game, as well as Shadow of the Colossus, Psychonauts, Civilization 4 for best song, definitely. Oh yeah, Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction. Man, I remember.
Oh God, there's a franchise I haven't thought about
I know, yeah,
in a little
same.
bit.
Man,
Wow.
I want to check out Mercenaries again. The Paper Mario Wolf 5 says there are a few games out there that strike the magic of Shadow of the Colossus. There are a few games that respect the player's intelligence on the level of Shadow of the Colossus, and there are a few games that push the medium forward like Shadow of the Colossus. Do the right thing here, dogs.
Oh, it'll be in the top 5. Come on, easy.
Mike, we got a super chat in real quick. I wonder if you could just help me out and read that one real quick.
Oh, Connor Wood says, don't forget David Cage's magnum opus, Fahrenheit.
I was the Nick Seifert one actually is the one I was going for, but that's good too. Yes. Oh yeah, Fahrenheit came out really that long ago. That's wild.
Oh, you're right. There we go. From Nick Seifert. Battlefront 2 has always sucked. Oh my God, their first super chat. Thank you. Look, I don't even think it sucks. I thought everybody's like, yeah, this is a good 8 out of 10.
Yep.
But the best game of a generation. Are you all insane?
That's still not the conversation, Mike. What are you
that kind of was the conversation.
Yeah,
This man moving so many.
Alex says 2005 was a seminal year in gaming for me. Civ 4, Battlefront 2, Shadow of the Hedgehog.
I'm sorry, back up what game?
Battlefront 2. And then he says Shadow the Hedgehog right next to it. So that goes to show you what Alex knows. Sorry, Alex, I have to put you on blast. I know you understand. But nothing comes close to Kingdom Hearts 2, baby.
Hey, save that for next week, Alex, because we do North American release dates. So Kingdom Hearts 2 is going to get its chance for 2000. Not next week. We might do every other week with this. 2006, though, is Kingdom Hearts 2's time.
Yeah, bring back all these Kingdom Hearts 2 points next week, Alex. We'll read them then. Casual says, from Russia with love. I need, you know what? We should do a Bond dedicated License to Thrill.
I have it. I've got it right there.
And we should play through all of these, the ones that people say are great. That I think I played. I rented all of them, but I don't remember loving any of them other than GoldenEye.
Oh, really? Man,
yeah.
I mean, you know me and GoldenEye, but I like all the GameCube ones. Although I actually haven't played From Russia with Love yet, but I have it. But I loved Agent Under Fire and Nightfire. There's actually Everything or Nothing or something. I haven't played that one yet. But
Russia with Love is like such a great looking cover. Sean Connery in it.
Yeah, it's neat.
Yeah, that's cool. Man, I really actually want to play this super bad right now. Cranches Basketball says Resident Evil 4, God of War, Devil May Cry 3. Flobotron says some very interesting movie tie-in games this year with 007, King Kong, Republic Commando, and more. Did Republic Commando come out in 2005?
It did. I almost brought it up.
It's
Republic Commando.
Good game.
It's a good game. It is not doing anything crazy new or anything. It was just really well put together, especially for a Star Wars prequels-based first-person shooter.
Yes. It's like if you are someone who's like wants a solid Star Wars shooter, that was it at the time for sure.
It was doing like a little Metroid Prime stuff with just the visors and all that, and I was very much into visor vision at the time, Jeff. I love a good visor.
Still to this day, I am. But the best one and the game of the year is The Warriors. It is a phenomenal 3D brawler, a masterclass movie adaptation, has split screen co-op, and is just dripping in style. I still have never played this.
Me neither. I know people liked it. You know that guy who does the Warriors?
Yeah, totally.
Bottles? That's Sully.
Yeah, definitely. That's Sully. Absolutely. I did know that.
From Commando.
Big fan of him.
And that guy did a guest lecture in my friend's classics course in college.
Really? Oh, man, that's amazing.
Yeah, he got a hold of him because he does I don't know, he did some reading of some classic text or something. I don't know, but it was funny.
Oh, he's one of them readers. Adam GC says, I came here ready to talk about what a stone cold masterpiece Shadow of the Colossus is, so I can't believe I'm instead going to use this chance to defend Battlefront 2. I remember wanting to play it when it first came out, but never got around to it until I met my wife, who probably considers it her favorite game of all time. Oh man, sorry about your inevitable divorce. So I'm just joking at him.
Jesus Christ. By the way, I forget that I could get away with saying some things on here that I can't on Giant Bomb. On something, I said something about because we were doing the bank robbing stuff. Dan was like, oh, we could do a real robbery, but we won't kill anybody. And somehow I was like, if we all had to kill somebody, I bet Jeff would get the best night's sleep afterwards. And some people are like, you can't say that.
I was like, oh my God, Mike. I'm like, I got it. I understood what was happening there.
You agreed.
Yeah, I was like, sure, yeah. Listen, definitely not true, but of course, at the moment, I'm like, yeah, of course, yeah, absolutely. Exodal Adam says, shout out to Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
I didn't mean to cut off Adam. They had a lot more to say about Battlefront now.
Since, her favorite game, by no means does it have the narrative or gameplay chops of some other Star Wars games, but it does offer...
I'm looking at it right there. Actually, now we looked at it.
I was trying to move on gracefully. Exodal Adam says, shout out to Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow.
Okay, but that is a major blame on Dawn of Sorrow, was that they got rid of the amazing art that series had for this generic anime look.
Horse shit, yeah.
Giant
I really
downgrade.
do hate this, yes.
It is disgusting.
Yes,
what
it
they
is.
did.
Especially compared to the way these covers looked before this.
They were so good. And look at this shit. It's like I'm watching Fox Kids
Funimation or whatever. Get out of here.
What the fuck is this?
Yeah. It's terrible. I wouldn't wipe my ass with this, Mike. Seriously, no. I hate it so much.
How dare you? And it's not just the cover, because those are what those in-game portraits look like.
Yeah,
so you are just bombarded with it in the game, and it does make the experience worse.
It's disgusting. But this was my first real Castlevania game as a child, which makes it kind of rosy for me. But the branching weapon upgrade paths and ability to gain new abilities by absorbing the souls of your enemies blew me away then and still holds up today. Yeah, this is a great game. It just straight up is.
Yeah, it is. Oh, I loved it.
I love Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. Bugadillo says, here's 3 that deserve consideration. Donkey Kong Jungle Beat. I really do like that a lot. Is an amazing and underrated. Oh my God. Okay. It's an underrated platformer directed by legendary Yoshiaki Koizumi with surprisingly good bongo controls. Geometry Wars Retro Evolved.
Oh shit! You were one of those Geometry Wars freaks, weren't you?
Yes, you were because I'm a human being
freak
with a beating heart. I'm a red-blooded American, of course.
Look,
I'm a Geometry Wars.
But I would always look at you freaks and be like, "All right, you guys really like this game with the shapes."
Okay, you know what? I'm with the Battlefront 2 people now. I'm on your side, everybody. Geometry Wars number 1, Battlefront 2 number 2.
Hey, guess what? Geometry Wars also slaps.
Oh yes, it does. It is a simple but addictive twin stick arcade shooter and one of the first standout games for the Xbox 360 and maybe game of the generation, and I added that part myself. Trapped is the most forgotten but super fun PS2 entry in Tecmo's Deception series, a third-person action puzzler / Grubb Goldberg trap builder. It was made by the same team as the Fatal Frame series and definitely matches that level of quality, not to be confused with the band. There was a band called Trapped. That might be new metal right there, Mike, if you want to go ahead and make your reference.
I don't know either of these traps.
Villain Max says, I think we should celebrate the start of the plastic instrument craze with Guitar Hero. Excuse me.
Not just plastic instruments, just plastic accessories, man. It got nuts there for a while.
Man, but Donkey Kong Jungle Beat came out in the same year.
Same year, actually. Yeah, it's funny that was a coincidence.
Did that come out here in America that year, or was that like it probably did, because it was GameCube, so I probably was, because I was buying GameCube games still.
In fact, it came out in Japan in 2004, so
okay, that
it was here in 2005. Yep.
Joyuse, we would be so much better off if more modern games were like Shadow of the Colossus. It's a distilled experience that leaves you feeling fully satisfied. It's like eating your meat without eating your vegetables, like skipping straight to the guitar solo of Freebird, like watching an anime music video of Goku going Super Saiyan for the first time. There's not even any dialogue to skip.
It's just so good.
Great description.
You just get to play a video game the whole time. It's great.
Yep. Beef Hammer says, look, Resident Evil 4 is a given. It was a landmark title in the history of gaming, and I actually kind of still prefer it to the remake. He said it, not me, Mike. With that said, throw the community a bone and add Battle Goat 2, you boomers. Nothing beats a 2v2 Galactic Conquest night with your friends. I think some things beat that, actually.
Look, I am going to track down a copy of this game soon so I can play it, because
that's what we should do.
Okay, hear me out. Whenever this happens, whatever it may be, whenever I meet you guys in person for the first time, we're setting up an Xbox because this is BC, and we're going to do 4-player split screen, fucking 4K. It's going to be glorious.
All right.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready. I'm ready to try it out. Let's see what happens.
Let's go.
Wardenclyffe, my vote goes to Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. It might just be a simple murder mystery adventure game / visual novel, but its endearing characters, intriguing mysteries, and killer soundtrack elevated to be so much more. Jack E. Lantern has a picture of Waluigi and a bowl, or what is a power shovel? I can never remember the name of these.
Heavy Machinery.
Yeah, and Heavy Machinery. This must be a Mario Party. Oh, this is Mario Kart DS, of course. Yes, that's right. God, man, the card designs in that game were so good. I do remember this now. Man, that game fucking rules. Chaos Pumpkaboo says, my pick is Pokemon Emerald, but for the sake of discussion, I want to hear Mike argue for or against Dragon Quest VIII.
You know, it's funny because Dragon Quest VIII comes up a lot when people pick their favorite in the series. And when I was playing through a lot of Dragon Quest, it was in the middle of 8. I actually stopped. So the guy feels good, but it wasn't like really captivating.
Did you ever get around to 9?
I actually played a good bit of 9 back in the day, but not in a while. 9's great. 9 is very good. But 11 is just like really far ahead, the best one.
Sure, of course. Yeah, I agree with that. Even though I haven't played most of them, 11's a really fun game.
It sure is.
Dragon Quest VIII, my understanding, it's like a really solid sort of by the numbers Dragon Quest game. Not that any of the other Dragon Quests aren't by the Dragon Quest numbers, but this one's like, hey, if you want to sit down and button through menus and fight a bunch of stuff and level up, this game's going to provide that for you.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit mindless is kind of what I always got the impression
that's like
of.
Dragon Quest in general. There's a simplicity to it. No, but like, I think what this one did that was interesting for people was the presentation actually was a bit more. I mean, this is the first one that's in 3D. It's the first one with voice acting. And it was level 5, and they were doing their PlayStation 2 cel-shaded look, and that was just a very good look. But level 5 PlayStation 2 games looked very good.
Bench JC says Mario Kart DS. Hammond of Texas says my 2 standout games for 2005. Tom Clancy's Splinter Cell Chaos Theory. I still occasionally boot this game up today for its amazing graphics, gameplay, story, mechanics, soundtrack, and Michael Ironside's gravelly voice. Being able to dynamically change between stealth, non-lethal to go loud/lethal in an instant remained with the series moving forward. It introduced the first separate co-op campaign in the series and heavily refined the incredibly unique Spies vs. Mercs multiplayer mode introduced in the previous game, Pandora Tomorrow. That's the mode I want to try, Mike. Fuck this Battlefront 2 nonsense. Spies vs. Mercs is what I really want to get into. That would be cool if that came back.
Imagine me and you doing that co-op mode too. That could be fun. Yeah. I never played a lot of the single player actually, but I did play a good amount of Spies vs. Merc back then. This was a fun game.
I never played any of it, and I remember hearing talking to Shu about it, and him like talking about, hey, we're so obsessed with this, we would take new people in and show them how to play, so we would have someone to play against that actually knew what they were doing. I'm like, okay, I really want to try that. Battlefield 2, the first. Remind me to tell you a Shu story after this, by the way.
Okay.
Battlefield 2, the first modern Battlefield, and for me, it still feels great to play and was incredibly well balanced. The classes started to get more refined. Infantry could hold their own against armor. Air vehicles felt powerful, but were limited due to being required to return to base to reload. Maps got bigger as more players joined, 16, 32, 64. And the commander mode gave you a god's eye view of the battlefield while still being vulnerable to having its on-map assets destroyed by the enemy. Oh, and the Special Forces expansion pack had functional grappling hooks, and grappling hooks are rad. I never played much Battlefield 2. I missed out on that.
Yeah, for some reason, it never grabbed me like the original did.
Razzled Jazzled, what a year. 2 Fire Emblem games hit U.S. stores, Sacred Stones and Path of Radiance. I didn't know Path of Radiance was 2005. Jeez, okay. Yeah. We got the best Star Fox game, Assault. That's a take. And Psychonauts came out. I love all those games dearly, but when they are all overshadowed by how much time I spent playing Galactic Conquest and 501st Journal in Star Wars Battlefront 2. All right. Octo, a neat game that came out in 05 that nobody cares about anymore. The movies. God, this is one I've always wanted to try. I wish Lion had made more strategy/sim games. They were way better than their attempts at a theme park RPG. This is like the one. I don't even know if Peter Molyneux was like super involved with this. I assume he was. But I always wanted to try this. The movies.
For some reason, when I see this, I think about that bad Leisure Suit Larry game where he's like a similar premise.
Zelda Blowout says Lego Star Wars was a shockingly good game. He liked the name. That kicked off the Lego video game formula. Before that style got tiresome, Lego Star Wars was a unique, lighthearted way to relive the prequel story, along with fully featured multiplayer. Also, Mercenaries Playground Instruction had the amazing Deck of 52 concept that should be used by more games. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Isaac Clark, Dragon Quest VIII is it for me. Screaming Madden says, haha, Madden slayed that ESPN with money in 2005. But to break kayfabe, my game of the year from 2005 is actually NCAA Football 06. Okay, I doubt it will make the top 5, but I never had more fun with a sports game than this one. It felt so good to use spin moves and jukes on the defense. It introduced Race for the Heisman, which is basically a college football RPG, and it's the only NCAA football game to sport a Tony Hawk as Hell soundtrack. This game is very formative in my fandom for college football and The Clash. And shout-outs to WarioWare Twisted, where motion controls made for peak WarioWare, and Mario Kart DS, where its highs from Waluigi Pinball to its mission mode made this my favorite Mario Kart. Yeah, I'm a big fan of NCAA 06 as well. Big part of that is Charles Woodson, Heisman pose on the cover. Boy, that's a good football player. Mex says, before cozy games and Can You Pet the Dog became all the rage in a lot of online spheres, we had Nintendogs to offer that in its endearing pet simulation that ambitiously utilized every aspect of the DS hardware. Crouching Kringle Hidden Krampus said 2005, the year that Goofy fucking dies.
In Japan, but
in
not
Japan.
in the
You're gonna have to come back next week. Come back next week. Tokyo Game Life says Animal Crossing Wild World. It made everyone realize, this franchise is better on handhelds. I 100% agree. DMC Depressed Me Crying says 2005 might be the best year ever for action game fans. A few I'd like to mention. DMC 3, I cannot heap enough praise on this game. It set the definition for the stylish action genre to this day. Samurai Western, you play a samurai who travels to the Wild West to search out his brother. The crossing over of these two worlds is a great setting, and the gameplay delivers on that premise. Nano Breaker has a lot in common with Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance, to the point that if you told me Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance was a reimagining of Nano Breaker, I'd believe you. I never touched Nano Breaker. I was always like, what is this? And
I don't think I've thought about Nano Breaker since 2005. That's incredible. Yeah.
Clink says Sly 3 has a mission called Big Truck where you get to drive a truck the size of a building. Need I say more? That sounds fantastic. I'm going to try it out. Barf Spackle says seconding Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, especially for Spies vs. Merc, which is, in my opinion, is still one of the best unique multiplayer experiences out there. Any community member that wants to try it out, hit me up. Maybe we could figure out a game night for that, Barf Speckle. I do want to try that. Barf Speckle also mentions Mercenaries Playground of Destruction. Jat O'Lantern says, it's not a phase, Mom, and posts a picture of Shadow the Hedgehog. It's definitely not a phase. Teriyaki Blues, this is the year we all give thanks to Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening for saving the Devil May Cry franchise.
People hate it, too.
Dr. Lynch says, I can't believe that no one has mentioned Guitar Hero yet. I think someone definitely mentioned it up there a little bit ago. But yes, that's...
Come on, Dr. Lynch, a liar?
Yeah, I am. Dr. Lynch, how dare you lie to me? What an amazing game that original release was. Even without the original performance tracks, playing Guitar Hero was a defining moment for the end of 2005 and pretty much all of 2006 for me. Lenny, Cool Dick Denver says, Dragon Quest 8 and Resident Evil 4 were already said, so I'll say something you guys won't put on the list, but I really like Advance Wars Dual Strike. I like Dual Strike a lot. I just don't like it as much as some of the other Advance Wars games. So you're right, I'm not going to put it on the list.
It's like the opposite of Dawn of Sorrows. Look how much more mature the art is here for no reason.
Yes, it's like, hey, let's try to make it seem like these kids could really be in war. And it's like, well, you didn't succeed at that. And also, I don't like these characters as much anymore.
It's weird looking.
Adam Asleep says, I saw it mentioned once, but the game was so nice they used the name twice. We played Kratos and his Blades of Chaos back in 2005 with God of War. And then, let's see, Matt Rare Monkey says Geometry Wars Retro Evolved. This game was the first to justify the HD era and still plays better than most games today. Now that Microsoft will own the IP, that's right. Let's get Stephen Cakebread to make a new one. Shut up, Mike. This is important. Trauma Center, Under the Knife, Resident Evil 4, AMP3, and Super Mario Strikers all got mentioned as well by Matt Rare Monkey.
Oh, man. People used to not shut up about Mario Strikers, and then we got a new one, and you were like the only two who seemed to like it.
Vision 49 says, First Encounter Assault Recon, baby. That's fear for the people who prefer acronyms.
I'm still kind of mad that you refused to spell fear the right way when we did our spooky
I have no respect for PRs. No, go to hell.
No, that's for PR is actually an acronym.
Yeah, but okay.
It's the title of the game, you fucking sign.
Yeah. Also, shout out to Star Wars Episode 3 Game Boy Advance /DS port. Really fun beat 'em up. Yes, that is really actually great game, surprisingly.
It's funny, this is the year Revenge of the Sith came out, man.
Jesus. Eamon Goldie says, listen, I see heavy hitters and they are probably better, but I wanted to give love to one of the most underrated games in this whole generation, Psychonauts. What a fun, creative game. I never super clicked with Psychonauts. I think it's fun.
I saw my copy over there that I bought from Double Fine Store that is signed by Tim Schafer.
Oh, that's cool. Spookin says, come out to play. Shout out to the awesome Rockstar made beat 'em up, one of the best game adaptations of a movie ever, The Warriors. JD Camp says gaming peaked with Lego Star Wars. Wong Gifts says, shout outs to Dawn of Sorrow, but otherwise 2005 is all about Resident Evil 4, revolution as a genre, and still holds up nearly 20 years later. Big Tony says Jade Empire, a game that I always meant to try, but never. I'm kind of cooled on it as like reviews started coming out.
Yeah, I want to try someday because it's so weird because here's BioWare coming off of Knights of the Old Republic, right? This giant deal. There's a lot of hype for this game. Everyone was like, yeah, it's pretty good. And I'm like, I was kind of hoping you were going to tell me it's the best thing ever, actually.
Yeah, that's what I kind of needed to hear as well. And it's like, okay, all right. Brian Rose says Fire Emblem Sacred Stones. Also, shout out to Pokemon XD for its great music, even though Pokemon Emerald was the better game that came out this year. And then Christian and Sean both are running rampant with Star Wars Battlefront 2. That's what we have to deal with. Oh, there's more. They just keep posting the cover over and over. So
I think those two guys have a good point.
Oh yeah, that's great. You two should start a podcast.
Maybe we will. Okay.
Let me just go and do Geometry Wars.
All right. So yeah, what do we want to add? John, I think Devil May Cry 3 got mentioned a lot, and it is a very good game. That should probably be considered. Frankly, as should Chaos Theory, I believe, is another important one. Otherwise, I think that's kind of the big ones then that we need to talk about. I think those are the big ones.
You will burn in hell.
You will get back in your mod hole. Look, we're not guys. Look, I mean, don't get upset. Hey, if you want to get your frustration out now that we're not putting Battlefront 2 in it, I'll give you the floor for like 30 seconds here because it's not happening. There you go. All right.
Here's what the short list is: God of War, Resident Evil 4, Shadow of the Colossus, Guitar Hero, Civilization 4, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Zelda Minish Cap, Geometry Wars Retro Evolved, Devil May Cry 3, Splinter Cell Chaos Theory, and Star Wars Battlefront 2. Lol, no.
Man, there was no other love for Minish Cap in our community or for Civilization 4. Civilization 4 doesn't surprise me. Minish Cap's a Zelda game. Usually that gets you somewhere with these people.
Yeah, you're right. That is a bit surprising to get mentioned at all. I don't know. This year just not super duper hot for me. Like the games I really like normal, but even those, it's like, yeah, those could be in the top 5 or maybe they're not. Like Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow is like, yeah, it's probably my personal top 5, but it's not one of the Castlevania ones I feel super strongly about, even though I know it's a great game.
And I want to punish it for that art style change too. Of course, right? That's important.
Put it in its place.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Resident Evil 4 is certainly on the list, if not just immediately number 1, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's immediately number 1. I mean, it just is.
Yeah, great game and important game, especially at a time where Resident Evil seemed like it maybe is running out of steam. Like Resident Evil 1 remake was really good, but Resident Evil 0, Nemesis was whatever. Code Veronica was like pretty good. Resident Evil 4 really kept that series going a lot longer. Then,
here's my thing. Geometry Wars is number 2.
All right, Jeff. Look, I'll let you put it on the list. I'm just not gonna. Okay, I will. Which, and like, unlike last time you got mad at me for saying that about what Rave Race, like you should be happy, and you're not gonna put it at number 2.
It holds up better than any game on this list, including Resident Evil 4.
Because it's simple, Jeff. Because it's a twin-stick shooter.
What does that have to do with anything? It's
pretty easy for a twin-stick shooter.
Yeah,
I agree. Look, I agree. It's good. It could be on the list. It's not gonna be number 2.
All right, number 3 then. I'm okay with that.
Oh my god,
it is amazing. It's so good. It really is one of my favorite games of the generation.
All right. Okay, then I'll let you put it at number 3. Jeff, here's our compromise.
Yeah,
maybe I don't know. Let's think about it. I guess I don't. Like what do I really care about being at number 2? You know what, Jeff? Go ahead. Whatever.
All right, what would you put at number 2? I am curious.
Okay.
Never mind. You're right. Just put it at number 2. Forget it. Never mind. You lost your chance.
Yeah, I would God of War or Guitar Hero probably. I would maybe maybe we should put Guitar Hero in front of Geometry Wars. Jeff. That's the only one that could maybe.
I can be okay with that. Yeah. Do we want to put Donkey Kong Jungle Beat in the short list?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I like it.
I like it a lot, but yeah, okay. All right, so it's Resident Evil 4, Guitar Hero, Geometry Wars, Retro Evolved. We have 2 spots left, Mike.
Okay, and then I think God of War number 4.
the 2 games that should be on there.
Okay, well, let me hear it from you.
It's God of War and Shadow of the Colossus.
Okay, wait, that's right. I don't know about Geometry Wars better than Shadow of the Colossus, Jeff.
It is.
I think Shadow of the Colossus should be number 2. You can put Geometry Wars above Guitar Hero again. Never mind, but you can put Guitar Hero at 4. Shadow of the Colossus is very good.
Okay, I can take that. That's fine with me too. I love Shadow of the Colossus. This is fine with me. Hang on. There we go. All right. There we go. And then I do think God of War should be number 5, but I'm willing to hear some of these other ones.
Well, yeah, I really like Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Jeff.
Yeah, okay, yeah. I mean, if you want to put... listen, God of War is great, but it's not even like the best of those God of Wars. I think they keep getting better.
Maybe. I don't know. There's something about one that I like.
I mean, I love one. I do.
Derek just said a super chat. Mike, why did you just let him say Geometry Wars holds up better than Ace Attorney? I didn't. I yelled at him.
Definitely does.
I hate this now. Because I definitely like Ace Attorney more than God of War. God of War seems important, and it was good, and it was a big deal. But no, screw it.
Here's what you need to remember, Mike. When we put this list out, all you're going to hear is, "Well, where's Kingdom Hearts 2?"
Yes, you're right. Please, when you tweet it, say North American releases to spare me from that a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, all right.
Look, this is our list. Put Phoenix Wright up there. I love it.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, God of War. I love Phoenix Wright. So good.
Sounds good. All right, God of War.
Okay, there you go.
All right, moving that up.
But Matt, if I was like, I think Ace Attorney should be number 2 for sure. I'm joking. I'm joking.
Just really love Geometry Wars.
I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Resident Evil 4, Shadow of the Colossus. Is this nice? What Colossus? Geometry Wars, Retro Evolved, Guitar Hero, and Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. I like this list a lot, actually.
Can you imagine putting Battlefront 2 on this list?
No, I'm not an idiot. I'm not insane.
Can you imagine?
No. Not even as a lark. Not even as like, haha, funny.
All right.
Yeah. Well, should we take a quick... actually, one more time, Mike. Read the list for everybody.
Number 1, Resident Evil 4. Number 2, Shadow of the Colossus. And Geometry Wars Retro Evolved. Number 4, Gotta Be a Guitar Hero. Number 5, Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Remember how in the first Guitar Hero you could actually unlock a song called Guitar Hero? Nobody talks about that song where I liked that song.
I do always forget that it's like cover songs, basically.
It's all covers.
In my head, it's like, whatever, those are songs. But it's like, because you were just playing along with it so much, you got into the groove. It didn't matter at all.
It's funny because at the time, it's like, of course it'd be better to get the originals. But now, like, I'm nostalgic for the covers from this and Elite Beat Agents. By the way, Jeff, I think next year is EBA year. So, oh, baby. I'll be curious to see if there's any game in 2006 that I like more than Elite Beat Agents, because I'm not sure.
I'll be surprised. I'll be pleasantly surprised, because, I mean, if you're better than Elite Beat Agents, you better be a really good fucking video game.
There might be a Mario Galaxy.
Yep.
Okay,
all right.
Listen,
if that's true, we'll see. We'll deal with it then. But Elite Beat Agents is a lock for that list. I'll tell you that right now. We still North America. All right. I'm tweeting this right now. Everybody, we're going to be right back after a quick break. We're going to talk about what we've been playing.
How can any of you actually have a problem with this list? You're all psychopaths.
Because there's no Battlefront 2.
Okay, get over. Oh my God.
You asked.
Seriously, don't say it. Just let me say it for a little bit. Again, I believe I believe that you all really like Battlefront 2, and I know it's a good game. I am a little surprised by just how enthusiastic people slightly younger than me are.
I'm surprised that it's like it seems like a default best of Star Wars game to so many people, because it's like, I would get around to Battlefront 2 eventually on my list.
Have you ever considered for a second that all of these people might be right?
No.
The children are definitely wrong.
Just it is mostly a generational thing. That's all it is.
Okay.
And don't tell me don't scream at me. No, trust me, I was there again. Like, all growing up, it wasn't until last year that I ever heard this many people be like, I love Battlefront 2, because I usually don't talk to people that much younger than me.
Like
normally.
Earlier in the show, you were like, it's an 8 out of 10. It's okay. It's whatever. Yeah. Like, what is this rating system you work on?
Okay, no, I'm not saying it's not. of course, Anto's good. You got to do better than an 8 out of 10 to be one of the 5 best games of the year. What are you talking about?
Guitar Hero 1, let me tell you, is not that great.
Oh, yeah, nobody cared. Yeah, Guitar Hero 1, no one cared about that when it came out. You're right.
No, Guitar Hero 2 is the one that lit everything on fire.
Yeah, no one cared about the series until then. You're right.
I was definitely there. I was definitely know for a fact that Guitar Hero was huge. Yeah, it got bigger. Of course it did. But no, Guitar Hero was huge. I mean, yeah. It was like they didn't make enough of them for it to catch on. That was the only thing that held it back.
All right, it's 11. Let's get going.
I guess so.
We're back. Mike, what have you been playing?
Gosh, a lot of Baldur's Gate 3. We talked about that earlier, but really enjoying it. It's fun. I don't think it's a big spoiler at this point to say Act 3 is in Baldur's Gate, so it's fun to be in the city. I think I actually just got a quest to go to a tavern, and it's that tavern that was like the hub in the first act of Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance when I was playing that.
Oh, really?
So, the Elf Song Tavern, yeah. So I saw that name. I was like, hey, a Baldur's Gate or Forgotten Realms lore thing I know about. So I think that the bartender that I fell in love with won't be there anymore. But still,
so sorry.
I am excited.
Hey, that's what mods are for, Mike. Go mod her in there.
Oh, baby. Yeah. So I will be excited to go pop my head in there. But gosh, a Cocoon actually. So I beat Sea of Stars, and then I started Cocoon as a nice thing to play while waiting for Mario, basically. Cocoon, yeah, as advertised. Very good game. Very well done puzzle game. You know what's interesting about it? Because it is a puzzle game. Top down, you're going around basically using these orbs to solve puzzles. But somehow has really good boss fights.
Really?
Like very good boss fights for some. Yeah. And they're like, you use the same mechanics that you used to solve the puzzles or some new stuff even. I don't know how they did it because boss fights is usually something a lot of games struggle with more than anything. Fantastic boss fights in this game. It's like my favorite part of it. There aren't a ton of them, but they're great.
Does the buttons do more in the boss fight?
You have just one button still. It's just the thing you do. The things you do with that button is really interesting.
And this game sounds really well made. Okay, I need to check it out. Okay, everyone seems gaga for it, and I knew they would be. I was like, it was on my radar when Jan originally played it coming out of SGF, and then we got the code, and I'm like, hey, Sean, take this. We're gonna want to have some coverage of this, and it was like, okay. Now hearing so many people play it and be like really loving it, I'm like, I'm gonna have to play this too. Good. Yet another game on the list.
It's not like a Baldur's Gate where you're gonna be like, oh, how am I gonna play it? It's supposed to be like 5 hours long. Exactly. I think I'm pretty close to the end. Maybe tonight I'll beat it. So yeah, it's definitely worth.
What are you playing on? You playing on Switch or
Switch,
what?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna get on the Switch. That'd be great.
Yeah, it's good there. It's like a little like hitching every now and then. Nothing major. It's good on there. It's not gonna
bother me for that kind of game. That's that's pretty cool. You mentioned this somewhere. I can't remember where. Maybe I was listening to Last of the Nintendo Dogs. Now that seems like that's probably what it was when I was out. It seems like, it's confusing. Like you got to take the one thing into the one thing. You got to move these things around, and now that's a puzzle item you're going to use. But you said it's like relatively easy to get the hang of it really quickly, huh?
Yeah, and it does a good job of kind of like gating you into your current area, so you can't be like, maybe the thing I need to do is way back over there. No, it's none of that. Like whatever you need to do, it's close by you. It really, like last night, pretty close to the end was the closest I've been to getting stuck, and I still have just been figuring things out on my own and been feeling good about it. No, the puzzles are handled very well. It's very good.
Anything else?
So I actually started Resident Evil 2 remake. Yesterday on stream because that's our Game Club game, and I played like 3 or 4 hours of it. I started that game back when it came out and was really liking it, but stopped because I don't know. I was a coward. Other things happened, but since then, with the combination of one playing the Resident Evil remake, the first one last year for the Game Club, and then the Resident Evil 4 remake, I played Resident Evil games here and there. But just recently, I'm like, I love Resident Evil, actually. This series rules. And, of course, everybody talked up Resident Evil 2 Remake a lot when it happened. But, man, it is very, very good. Still just an absolutely stunner of a game. It looks gorgeous. The character animations are fantastic. That police department just has such a look to it. It's the perfect setting. And I do like, I love Resident Evil 4, obviously. I do like some of the puzzle-solving, almost inventory adventure game elements that those older Resident Evil games have. Again, goes back to my sort of LucasArts adventure game days of inventory puzzles and stuff like that. So I like those little elements. But yeah, it's been fantastic. It is like scary and just the right amount. There's been a few things that really got me, but man, they really figured that out. They really figured out that whole Resident Evil thing.
Yeah, it's you get why there are people who are like, I'm a Resident Evil person. I like that's the thing I care about, and that's what I want. It's like, yeah, when I played Resident Evil 2 Remake, that's when it was like, oh yeah, this I can fully understand that. They're putting so much work into these games, so much effort, and they're really good at it. They're really good at making these games now. So and they always have been, but they keep getting better at it. So yeah, I mean, I really love Resident Evil 2 Remake. That is I haven't played enough of Resident Evil 4 Remake. That's probably my favorite one that they've done. My favorite Resident Evil, I think, up to this point, other than Resident Evil 4 Original. I think Resident Evil 4 Remake probably will be right there when all is said and done. So yeah, that's just it's a great game.
It's so good, and I'm kind of curious to play 3 Remake because I know everybody is upset that it cut a lot of content, but with things being so busy, it's like, ooh, a 5-hour Resident Evil game. That sounds kind of nice.
I liked what I played at Resident Evil 3. Yeah, it's totally fine.
Yeah, the complaint is that it cuts stuff from the original, and I get that. But hey, never played the original. It'll be okay. We'll see.
I mean, it's rough in some other ways where it's like,
sure,
it's not,
sure
it's not as polished. That's all. It's all it is.
But I mean, original Resident Evil 3 also was not as good as Resident Evil 2. So, but yeah, really liking it. Very excited to play more. I did like a major boss fight, and I am now at the part where Mr. X is chasing me, which is a pretty interesting dynamic to the game. Fun stuff.
I have, other than Baldur's Gate, which we mostly talked about, and not much more to add to that. Been playing Spider-Man, so I can't talk about that yet. Monday, though, we can. That's the review embargo, so we'll be able to talk about it next week.
I should play some of that.
You should play some of it. I'm excited to talk with people about it. I'm excited to share some of the interesting moments that I've had. There are there's small little tidbits where it's like the attention to detail, the amount of care that the people that are making these games, and that's been obvious since Spider-Man 2018 and Miles Morales. Of course, it continues here. So there's going to be some cool stuff to talk about when that game actually is available to talk about. So looking forward to that. But other than that, not much time for anything else. It was a lot of traveling and driving and not being able to play games while I'm driving, other than Marvel Snap, of course.
Anything else, Jeff? Or you want me to read the rest of these super chats?
Let's do the super chats and then get out of here.
Big Fresh 37 says Jade Empire is the #1 game in 2005. Man, I do want to play that at some point. And then Call of Duty 2 is number 2. Call of Duty 2 didn't even come up, but that was a very good game, and it was kind of a bit of like a prelude to Call of Duty 4 really taking over the world. But Call of Duty 2, that was the surprise. Oh, this is actually the best launch game, not Perfect Dark Zero, even though they clearly were positioning that to be it. It was actually Call of Duty 2 for sure.
Yep.
Jerry asks, Mike, do you have a copy of Fire Emblem Path of Radiance? And ta-da, here it is. Wait, yes, Path of Radiance. Radiant Dawn's the Wii one. I don't have that. This is why I want to play this. It's hard to find time to all right, I'm going to play, big GameCube RPG. I never done an RPG on stream yet. I did one time with Bug Fables, and it's hard to stream RPGs. People do it.
I think Path of Radiance would be fun to stream, I think.
Yeah, I think you feel... I don't know if you have to, but I know a lot of people do the voices, and I tried doing that, and I just kind of got tired doing that. I don't know if I could really say every dialogue blocks out loud, but at the same time, then what? Am I just sitting there reading it in silence on stream? So I got to figure out exactly how to do that, maybe. Because there's other GameCube RPGs I really want to play, especially Skies of Arcadia Legends and stuff like that. So
you can just ask Ben Starr to come down and read it for you.
Yeah, I have a couple friends who do voice acting, and we were talking about this, I think, on Dump Truck. Jan was saying, it's it would be I wonder if I could have one of them make content for it with me by trying to teach me how to voice act.
Yes, that could be cool.
Fun. I would love. Punish Big Jimbo Ryan says, congrats to Phil on ABK as it's imminent. Now, with time, we'll say if this play by Phil makes him a smart fella or a fart smella. How have I never heard that before? That's incredible.
I don't know. I haven't heard it either, though. I like it a lot, though.
A smart fella or a fart smella? Oh, I got to remember that. That's incredible. Thank you, Jimbo. Adam JC says, I just showed my Battlefront 2 comment to my wife, and while she loves the game, she wants everyone to know her favorite game of all time is No One Lives Forever. All right.
Recognize.
We totally glossed over that one a couple years ago, too. So sorry. And then Matt Rare Monkey says, we all know Geometry Wars is the best this year. So you're not alone. People do really like Geometry Wars. Like,
no shit. You're so surprised, Mike. Oh, you're not alone. So begrudgingly, yeah. People love Geometry Wars.
Where's the love for Peter Jackson's King Kong, the game based off the movie?
We don't need any achievement freaks in here right now. Get out of here.
Oh my god, it was, yeah. Achievements are still pretty funny to me. I was watching. I think I was watching Mary Kish play some indie horror game, and he was a kid, and he had to like stab a man in the face repeatedly. This is this dark moment, and she like got an achievement for it. It's like that noise, like dude, it's like not now. Achievements.
I have a story about that I'll be able to talk about on Monday for sure. I'll tell you as soon as we're done here because it's very funny.
Yeah, the stuff is kind of funny sometimes. Still, all right. I think that does it, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Thanks for watching, everybody. Mike, what you got going on this weekend?
Yeah. What do I have going on this weekend? I want to beat Baldur's. Yeah.
Sorry.
There it is.
Why wouldn't he? Oh, yeah. I thought. I see. But Baldur's Gate 3, I want to beat that this weekend. That's what I want to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep playing some of that. I'm gonna beat Spider-Man. It was like on the vacation. I was thinking like, man, am I gonna have time? It's okay. Looking at the embargo, we're good. I'll have enough time, at least based on the rumors of how long it takes to beat that game. I still don't know. But then, yeah, I'm probably just gonna watch some football, hang out. I kind of, you need a vacation from the vacation, right? Where it's like, we were traveling, and it's all my responsibility to make sure everyone gets to where they're going, make sure everything gets packed up, everything gets unpacked, all that stuff. Now I kind of want to just sit around and do nothing for a little bit. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I gotta start because my vacation's gonna be coming up, so I have to start. Not so much getting ready for that, but make sure I have other things squared away before that. Like whatever else travel I'm doing the rest of the year, I gotta really figure that out.
Yeah, but there's lots of stuff
to talk to you about that.
Let's talk about that. Mike, where can people find you on the internet and all that good stuff?
Go to gamesbeat.com. Check out the rating my team is up to over there. Hey, I did have a fun time playing that RoboCop demo. I thought so. That's a fun video. It's on giantbomb.com. We also had a really goofy, fun time on the voicemail dump truck today, didn't we? People should check that out.
Yeah, it was a good episode. Yeah, so get all that on Giant Bomb. Speaking of Giant Bomb, Game Mess Mornings will be happening tomorrow. Then we're gonna do Phasmophobia, and apparently it's me, you, Bailey, and Jan.
Ooh,
it's true.
That sounds like fun.
I didn't realize this was supposed to be an actually scary game.
Here's the good news: is I'm gonna be the one in VR, so I'm gonna be the one who's truly pissing themselves, and I think it's gonna be funny for everybody else how scared I'm gonna be. So, looking forward to that. That'll be a good time. Christian, you're a big Phasmophobia guy, right?
Yes. Okay. Yes, I am. I love that game. That game is so much.
Oh, great! You're gonna pop in and tell me it's not really that scary when I'm in the middle of like having a panic attack.
It's actually pretty scary.
Shit, that's not a good sign. There's no way to play something scary.
Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week. Have a good one.
I'm fucked.
Alone in the house. With the ghost.
Mike Minotti.